Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. So for months, you guys have been leaving comments about wanting to know how Gintani started, how I started doing all of this, and all the comments about the family money. So today, we're gonna talk about it and we're gonna let you guys know exactly how everything started. Let's do this. My name is Alex Marikin. You guys know me as Alex Gintani. That's turned into my name for some reason because of the company. I'm the owner of Gintani. We are an aftermarket performance company based out of Los Angeles, California. I was born April 7, 1984 in Tarzana, California. My ethnicity is Armenian and my parents were born in Istanbul, Turkey. They moved here back in 1978. Back in Istanbul, my grandfather, which was my mom's father, was a very, very famous jeweler in the Grand Bazaar, as most of you probably have heard of or have seen in Istanbul. He used to be known for these bracelets that he used to make, and they were called Rococo bracelets. And he was all over the radio back then, and everybody knew him in the Grand Bazaar. My dad's father was a woodworker and also in construction. Before they came to the US, my dad and my mom obviously grew up in Istanbul. My dad used to work with my grandfather for a while, his dad, until he decided to take a different leap in life and get into the jewelry business. When he decided to do that, he went down to the Grand Bazaar and actually was introduced to my grandfather, where he actually started working and getting into the line of jewelry. That's when he met my mom, and that's when I guess they started dating. My grandfather, my mom's dad, was a huge visionary. He had big goals, big dreams, and he always wanted to move to the US and wanted to create something different. He wanted to create a legacy, something that he would be known for forever. And it wasn't only about jewelry. He had a vision like no other. He had decided to move him, my grandma, my mom, and my dad down to Los Angeles. And before he did that, he actually came out here and tried to look at different avenues of businesses, obviously still staying in the jewelry district area. So he came down to Los Angeles and he went down to downtown, where we find today between 6th and 7th on Hill, all the way from Hill to Broadway, which is known as the biggest jewelry district. When he came down here, he realized he wanted to get into real estate. So he started looking into options and what he could do. He found a building which was known as the Bullocks building in Los Angeles in downtown. Bullocks used to be like the Macy's and the Nordstrom that we know today. My grandfather did a bunch of research and decided that he was going to find a way to buy this building, and that's how they would start their life in Los Angeles. But in order to do that, he would have to have the support from his friends and business partners that he's known from Istanbul. He got a group of 6 people, I believe, back then together, and they basically raised money to change their life for every single one of them and move down here and buy this building. So I think in 1979 it was, or so on, they decided to purchase the Bullocks building, and from there the Bullocks building till today became the St. Vincent's Jewelry Center. And it's well known to be the largest jewelry center in the world, especially in the US. Back then my dad obviously needed to figure out a way to make ends meet on his side to provide for me and my brother and my mom. I wasn't born yet, but for me, my brother and my mom. So he started a small jewelry store with my uncle, which was my mom's brother, Abed. They were very, very well known. They were all over the red carpet. They used to do red carpet events. They used to do Dolly Parton, Sylvester Stallone, all these people. So they would be at the Grammys, they would be at all these award shows, and they would provide jewelry for all these stars. That's how basically my dad started out over here, and that was his business, and it was the jewelry business, and it's still been the jewelry business till today. That business went on for a few years, and after that, unfortunately, due to some unseen circumstances, we lost my uncle. So my dad basically ended up closing down that business and had to start all over again. So with that, he started his own jewelry line by himself and brought in his brother, his younger brother, which had also moved into the United States to come and start a life here. So he took his younger brother in, and they started, as we know today, Sierra Jewelry, which has been our family business for over 30 years. What's up, guys? So we thought it would be cool to get a little more in depth into this. So right now we're in downtown LA, and right behind me is the St. Vincent's Jewelry Center. So we came down here so to give you guys a little bit of a view of what my grandpa and his friends basically founded over here in Los Angeles and how everything started. So head over with me, let's go check out the building. Growing up, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years old, we used to walk around the streets and deliver jewelry. So we would have to take jewelry to the polisher, we'd have to take jewelry to the diamond setter, the caster, so on. So I basically grew up on these streets since a very young age, just walking around delivering stuff. The best part about this building is St. Vincent's Alley. We have an alley over here that's in between the building, and a lot of big famous movies and stuff have been shot in this alley. You know, Gone in 60 Seconds, a lot of TV shows and stuff always use this alley to shoot stuff. All right, guys, so behind us you see St. Vincent's Court. I call it the alley. So growing up, we used to come down here and there's a bunch of little food spots. The most famous one for me is St. Vincent's Deli, which we'll go there and grab a sandwich from. They make a donut sandwich, which is a version of like a Euro sandwich, but like the Istanbul style. And I grew up eating these, and every time I come here, I gotta eat at least 1 or 2 sandwiches. This alley is actually very special to me because growing up, my grandfather always wanted to take this alley and turn it into something like Little Italy. The thing is that they eventually did that, and it does look like a Little Italy, but it was sad because my grandpa never got to see it because he had passed away. But aside of that, let's go check out the alley and show you guys what's up. For me, this alley is special because as a kid, I would always come here and get food, where we're gonna go and get a bite at St. Vincent's Deli. It's something that we call, from Istanbul, it's called donut. It's kind of like a Euro, but it's made a little different. So I'll show you guys all that. This used to be one of our family friends' pizza shops that used to be bomb. We used to come eat there all the time. This leads to the Broadway side. There's also our private parking lot upstairs, and then Burlington Coat Factory is actually downstairs. They rent from us. This is the alley. After my grandfather passed away, they actually decided to do this, and it came out pretty cool. You feel like you're somewhere in the middle of Europe and Italy. Go check it out. On this side, you got the famous St. Vincent's Deli that we've been eating at since we were kids. Arto's Deli right here that makes bomb sandwiches. This is bomb. I mean, you can get so many different little stores over here that have so much different variety of food, and it's so good. And the cool part is we've been talking about this building and how it all started and when it started. And you guys could see I had mentioned that when they bought this building, it was originally the Bullocks building. And the Bullocks sign still stays up there. Architecturally, especially in the front, that was done years ago when this building was originally built, that the city actually will not let you touch it. And if you do touch it or change it, you'll get fined up. We'll go show you guys the booths and everything, and then we could probably go upstairs and take a look at my grandpa's office, which I haven't stepped foot in since probably 1997. Yo!
Live from St. Vincent's Deli.
Live from St. Vincent's Deli. I've been eating here since I was what, like this high? This tall?
He was like that when he came first to the store.
Yeah, exactly. That's a bomb right there. You gotta record that, see? All the juices going on the tomatoes. Ooh, look at that. That's Alex right there, the pretty famous cutter. He's known me since I was a kid. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Cómo está?
Bien, bien. ¿Cómo estás? Okay, whatever you want. How many plates?
Alright guys, so whoever's watching this, you guys better come to St. Vincent's Deli and grab a sandwich and see our uncles over here and support them, okay? I want to see a big line outside of here next time on after this video. Thank you.
How is your kid? Good?
He's good. I got another one on the way.
Oh, really? Nice.
Number 2.
Congratulations. Is it gonna be a boy or a girl?
Boy. I'm a boy kind of guy.
Double trouble.
Yeah, double trouble. I'm gonna get it, but let's see. Now, my dad says now you're gonna see what I went through, asshole. All right, guys. So this is the food that I've been eating since I was a little kid. St. Vincent's Deli. This is yogurt soup, which is bomb. It's got like mint in there and all this other stuff. It's really, really good. And this is the donut sandwich. You could either get this thing on a French roll or you could get it in a pita. I like it with no lettuce. I like it with the extra tomatoes that are grilled underneath all the juices. It's full of meat, dude. So there's a good amount of meat in there. So come down here, Try it and enjoy the food. Loaded. You see that? Look who's
There's
here.
another
This guy's
one.
leaving and we're here. Why are you leaving? You can't leave right now. This is my dad, guys. I know you guys have seen him in the DDE video for a little bit, revving his car and being obnoxious, but I don't know where he thinks he's going, but we gotta go inside. We gotta go inside real quick. Okay, let's go. 15 minutes. Let's go
I'll
do this.
see you.
All right, I'll see you. Welcome to Sierra Jewelry. This is where the family business happens. Everybody always asks, what's the family business? What do we do? It's my dad, it's my uncle. These are the guys that are responsible for all of this. Martina right here, or what are you? No, more about this. She does all our paperwork. My dad and my uncle have been known for being the elite designers in the jewelry world for over 30 years. They've dressed up all the stars that you guys know till today. We do red carpet events and everything like that. These are all red carpet stuff that they've done. There's, I think, a lot more on the other back walls, which I'll show you guys right now. I was mentioning to you guys earlier that when my dad first started over here with my mom's brother and my uncle, that they had a different company and they used to do all the red carpet events even back then. This is, we're talking about in 82, 83, 84. They used to do all of Sylvester Stallone, Dolly Parton, all those guys. You can see that's Sylvester Stallone and Dolly Parton. That's their old showroom, which used to be, first it was on the first floor and it had an elevator that would go lead you up into the second floor. And it was like a two-story kind of thing. And that was in 83. So if you want to look into those pictures, and obviously he's done stuff for Elizabeth Taylor and the famous cigar smoker right there. This whole operation is like in the small room. Before it used to be, how many? 7 rooms?
7,000 square feet.
Yeah, upstairs was 7,000 square feet. So we used to have all this upstairs. Everything used to get manufactured upstairs. Now they've tamed down and they're just doing the small stuff over here. And I'm about to give some of my stuff to get polished. Since we're here, I get free polish and clean. I used to do this when I was a kid. There you go, Princess. I brought you some more.
Okay.
You know, don't ask me any questions because my son is my biggest headache. The trouble he is giving me, you cannot believe.
It's probably true. So
Right now, I changed my mind a little bit because he's doing some nice things.
We are very proud of him, what he started and what he come today. It's incredible.
you guys need any jewelry, engagement rings, or anything like that, you guys know where to come. I mean,
I'll have to
you
hit you
want
guys up in the
high-end,
future.
you want high-end stuff, heavy jewelry. I mean, designer stuff that all the stars wear at events and stuff like that. You can also see all my dad's and my uncle's designs. I mean, this necklace I think has won best of show 2 years in a row. A lot of these pieces, my dad was really big at JCK, which is a huge convention for jewelry. There's so much stuff that it's very hard to highlight one piece,
Yeah.
Everything is its own special thing. That's my dad's dad and his brothers. Obviously, my uncle Rafi that's here, and my uncle Dacho he lives in Istanbul still.
Wait, so explain what this is,
This
Alex?
guy's complaining about me. He's getting tickets telling me to take care of it. Cam,
Carpool line, I made early exit.
Cam, ticket dismisses. I got another ticket coming for you, my friend. Maybe you could sponsor this video while you're at it. We're now on the 10th floor. Crazy part is I haven't been on this floor for probably, I don't know how long, man. Last time I was on this floor was probably 1997 sometime. So this is where the main office is for the building owners and stuff like that. So we're gonna go in there and take a look. For the first time in years, I'm about to walk into my grandfather's office, which is pretty cool. So I'm gonna come see my boy Nij there real quick. See if he's here. Hey!
How are you?
I'm good. How you
What's
doing?
going on?
We're shooting for YouTube.
Oh, nice.
Now you're famous.
What's up? Good.
So this guy right here is our building manager. The funny thing is, when I was a kid, he used to be my
Coach.
basketball coach. How crazy is that?
Pretty good basketball player.
Yeah, right. Arno was a good.
Arnold was
basketball
better than you, but you weren't bad.
player. I was whatever, dude. I just know how to drive cars. But, can we go up to my grandpa's office?
Yeah, let's go.
I haven't been here for a while. Huh? Well, last time I came here was, I think, 1997. Wow, that is crazy. He's been convincing me to come and attend these meetings, which we're gonna start doing. Wow, that's crazy. It looks like my dad's first Cadillac in this picture.
He still has that.
Dude, that is insane. How crazy is that? That's his car.
The burgundy and the white one.
Yeah,
right?
the burgundy white one. He bought this car when my brother, the day my brother was born is the day he bought this car, and the license plate says to Arno.
To Arno, right.
Those are my grandpa's, some of the partners that have passed away, and that's why that's Pilavjan.
Yeah.
That's my grandpa. Yeah, I actually have my grandfather tattooed on my arm. That's a pretty good picture. I think it's better than that. I think we gotta update these pictures on the wall. I don't know what people, where he's getting these pictures done.
Those
but
are from,
maybe-
yeah, they were from like they're like from like a year after they passed away.
Yeah, I know, that's crazy. That's crazy. His name is still.
Yeah, it's right here.
His name is still on the wall. Oh my god.
Yeah, this is like 1983.
Nothing's been touched.
No. No. I mean, look at that table and look at the paper. That paper is OG, bro.
That is insane. The way he used to write stuff is the craziest thing in the world. Even when he used to put down phone numbers or anything, he would design stuff around it.
Yeah.
No matter what. That's how we grew up.
I've heard.
We grew up to him just sitting there and just literally drawing jewelry. I mean, look at these pencils and stuff that I've been here.
Look at this. This is card, bro.
That is unbelievable. None of this stuff has been touched for...
No. We clean this room every week so that it's dust free. So that if you want to come up, Arno or your dad wants to come up and hang out, he can.
I mean, if there's one person in the world that's my idol, aside of my dad, honestly, that's my grandfather. Everybody knows that. There's a reason he's on my arm. So, yeah, hopefully one day we get to fill his shoes. Maybe one day I'll come up here and sit here once I'm done with Gintani. One day when one of you guys buys Gintani, I put it for sale, maybe I'll come up here and I'll sit here. He even had business cards made in Armenian so he could pass it out to people.
He was a great man.
Yeah. All the properties you wanted to buy?
Probably.
These are all the properties he was looking
Yeah.
into. I'm telling you, man, if they listened to this guy, they would have owned 90% of this block.
Oh yeah, easily.
If they listened to him back
Easily,
then.
yeah.
Now I'm sure people regret it.
Your dad mentions it every time.
Every meeting, huh? Oh my God, look at that, Siemens. My grandpa used to have a Siemens fridge and I take apart Siemens issues. How about that? You gotta be kidding me.
Oh, it's brand
dude.
new, bro. There's
There's
paperwork
nothing
in
in
it.
here. I don't think he's ever
He's never used it. He's never used it.
Look at the ice holders. This is crazy. Yeah. I'm gonna have to change a little bit of stuff in my life and come spend some more time up here. It's crazy. They even have the drawing of the
That's the original.
The original.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sick.
Yeah. There it says right there, St. Vincent. It's right on the corner of 7th and Hill. And that's our building.
I know my cousin Talia and Laura and my brother Arno are gonna be jealous of me right now that I get to sitting in here just looking at all these stuff, but this is all where it all started, guys. This is where they came. This is where everything started, and this is our family's legacy. So hopefully one day me and my brother will continue it, and Najat will be right on our side. He's been screwing my head to come here every week and be part of the meetings.
Well, I'm glad you're here now.
I think this is gonna change a lot for me after sitting in this
Yeah,
table.
yeah, it should, because you're definitely right. That legacy started here.
What was Alex like growing up?
Alex was well, he was young when I coached him. Yeah, he was a good kid, a little bit rough around the edges. He was a great kid. Heart is always in the right place.
Rough around the edges, though.
Yeah, we're a little rough around
Really
the edges.
rough around the edges. Hey, what's up, guys? So I was a little iffy about doing the history of the Gintani documentary and about my life and everything. To be honest with you, with the amount of support you guys have shown and the comments and everything I read going on there, it really been something special for me, and I'm so glad that we got to do it, and I'm so glad that we're going to continue doing it. So let's get to the second episode. I hope you guys enjoy it. This is all for the love of cars and the culture. Hopefully we could give you guys more content like this and be a cool channel for you guys to watch. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for liking, subscribing, commenting, and please continue to keep doing that so we can keep doing this for you. Thanks. So my love of cars came from one person, and that person is my dad. Growing up, I would always look at my dad, look at magazines, watch cars, watch videos, and he was obviously into cars heavily. He's always had really cool cars growing up. Him and his friend, his best friend in Turkey, his name is Livio, have always had some pretty bad stuff. Mustangs, you know, BMW 2002 turbos, and they were known to be the wild ones, just like we were known to be the wild ones here with my brother. And they would be rally racing and doing all kinds of crazy stuff on the, you know, the bridge in Istanbul. And he used to have a 2002 turbo BMW that was sent to Alpina, that was completely built. The sad part is that car got sold and was taken away because of them rallying and doing stuff they weren't supposed to do. And it's one of my dad's biggest regrets. He's always wanted one, so one day hopefully we'll build him one. Watching my dad playing with these cars and teaching me about cars, it was just my favorite thing in the world since I was a baby. The first thing I think I said was probably Porsche. So everybody knew that when I was young, I was gonna end up growing up to do something with cars. I wasn't gonna end up being in jewelry or whatever it was. That's where my love comes from. It all comes from my dad. I honestly thank him for that every single day, for putting that in me, because without him, I would never be in this position and I would never love cars as much as I do today. But even at a young age, we were always, racing motorcycles, dirt bikes, go-karts. We're constantly, on the street doing crazy stuff with anything that involved a motor. I used to be absolutely obsessed with remote control cars. So I would go to the hobby store. It used to be called Hobby Shack back in the day. And I used to buy these remote control cars, electric or gas, and I would sit there in the garage and literally destroy these things. I'd take them apart and try to make them faster and bore out the engines and put an exhaust pipe on it and change out all the electronic motors and the speed controllers and stuff to try to make these things go faster, put bigger batteries in them. So I've always had this passion of trying to take things apart and just make them faster. It's been an obsession. So it started off with remote control cars, and then it led into taking my go-karts apart and taking my motorcycles apart and messing with throttle cables and building exhaust systems for them, just so I could get a couple more miles per hour out of these things, just so I could feel that, that adrenaline, that rush that I actually did something to make this thing faster.
Hey, what's up, guys? So we're at my parents' house right now. This was my first room before my brother moved out. As you can see, red walls, silver. I was obsessed with red, like colors, so we're gonna show you guys some pictures. As you guys can see, stuff has changed since I used to be in this room. There's a crib in here because of the kids, and a bunch of other stuff that's not mine. My brother's kids stay in here now, and my son stays here. All my stuff, as you can see, is in here. And as I opened the drawer, this is great because I was telling you guys I was obsessed with remote control cars. This was one of my favorite remote control cars. It was a Mini Cooper. This thing was fast as hell, all-wheel drive. It's a Tamiya. This was extremely cool. Going from there, it moved on to basically taking my dad's cars apart in the garage, going to Home Depot, buying, pipes and flexible hose, and going to Pep Boys and stuff and buying air filters and trying to make like ram air systems and try to get the intakes down to the bottom of the bumper so it could suck in fresh air. So one of my favorite cars my dad had when we were younger, obviously we didn't have exotics and stuff back then, but was a Mercedes-Benz 500 SEL. And this was like the first big Mercedes that he got himself, and he loved this thing. And he had it, lowered on AMG wheels, and he had a crazy sound system in the back. And those cars back then, no traction control, big torque monsters, and you would just nail the pedal down to the floor and just light up the tires. So he would just take us around everywhere, and we'd be late to basketball practices and whatever, school and everything, and you'd see that big boat just sliding around corners, and he'd throw that thing everywhere, and I'd watch him sit there and drift that big boat, and I'd always want to do it myself. Obviously from then we got a newer S-Class and a 7 Series, and then my brother got older. He got a Volvo back then. It was a red Volvo. He had slammed it on CEC wheels. Klaus, if you ever watched this, we remember you from all the way back then. This is 1996. The car had a crazy stereo system in there with 15-inch JL subs. He used to throw us in the back seat of the car, and you could hardly breathe back there every time the bass would hit. Here it is. Here's that Volvo, baby, on the CEC wheels, all red. Oh, look at this. This is the sound system that was in the Volvo. I told you guys, everything I tell you is real. I got proof right here. Look at that. That's the amps and everything hanging back in the day. Look where the hell this CD changer is. Look at the old school CD changer. This thing used to hold like 24 CDs or something like that. Oh, damn, look at the JLs in the Volvo. Boom, boom, 15s. Watching cars get modded, it started off me watching my brother modding his cars at, 11 years old. It progressed from there because his next car after that was an E36 M3. That's just on suspension before he did all the stuff to it. That's his best friend, B's 300ZX. He still has this car in the garage, and it's exactly in this condition. It's brand new, dude. This thing's got no miles on it, and we always clown him like, yeah, dude, this thing's gonna just rot in the house. We gotta like take it out and redo it. And it's like, don't touch my car. I've been trying to buy this car off of him since I was a kid. He still has it in the garage just like this.
when he got that, I think I was about 13 years old. And that's when we started, you know, heavily getting into modding cars. Back then, KW coilovers still, and we had gotten an exhaust shipped all the way from Germany from G-Power, which is crazy, is because G-Power became our competitor for a little bit when we started Gintani. So we used to run a G-Power exhaust on that. It had a Quaife diff. It had a bunch of dyno upgrades, and it had a full rigger body kit. We had Hamann PG2 wheels on it. That car was actually very well known. It was all over Hot Import Nights and all the events that we used to go to back in the day. This is actually at Hot Import Nights. That's my brother's best friend, Tav. That's my cousin, Joe. That's my brother when it used to be his car. So one of my coolest and best memories has to be the first time I actually drove. Growing up, I had a pretty cool aunt, my uncle's wife, my dad's brother's wife, and she was always the hip one, cool one, young. Whatever we wanted to do that our parents wouldn't let us do, we would always go to her. She had a E30 325E Hannah Red, which was actually my brother's first car ever when he got his license. It was manual, so we thought she was so cool, you know. She drove manual and we're like, yeah, she knows how to drive and whatever. And since I was, I don't know how old, probably 5, 6 years old, I used to sit next to her and she used to drive and I used to shift. I'd put it in first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear. I'd downshift back to third, downshift back to second when she used to, you know, slow down to stop at lights. So I literally grew up sitting in that car. Back then we could sit in the front, nobody gave. We didn't have all these rules of a kid has to be in the back, car seat, this and that. So I used to sit in the front and just shift this thing nonstop shift this thing. So one day we get into the street next to my house and she's about to drop me off, and I constantly keep talking about I want to drive, and she's like, you're too young, you know, we'll get in trouble. And I'm just trying to convince her, let me drive. So we get into our street and she goes, okay, get out of the car. I'm gonna let you sit in the driver's seat and I'm gonna try to teach you how to drive this thing. So I get out, I sit down, we're in this empty area, and I'm 9 years old at this point. I could hardly reach the pedals. I put the seat front. We're about to roll out. So I obviously been watching her for years, press the clutch, release the clutch, and I've been playing with motorcycles forever. So I know how it basically works with using it with my hands, but I've never done it with my foot. So I sit in this thing and put the car in neutral and press the clutch in, put it in first gear and just slowly let go of the clutch and I just roll away. And she's looking at me like, what the hell, you know what I mean? No stalling, no nothing. So dude, I got the biggest smile on my face. It's like I'm in heaven. Just get this thing into gear first, click second, go to third, and I just don't want to stop driving. But at this point, I'm a little kid, you know, I can't be in this car. So she keeps telling me we gotta stop. And I just keep going around the block and just, you know, I didn't want to stop, man. And the second I felt that rush of, you know, that car just releasing that clutch and just moving forward and me being able to control this thing and shift it, it was over. I mean, it was done. I mean, I was addicted for life. It was over. That's all I wanted to do. All I wanted to do was drive, and all I wanted to do was be in cool cars. Look at all the shows we used to go to back in the day.
So you've been going to the LA Auto Show.
Yeah, this was my brother's friend's car. Back in the day, if anybody remembers Wheel Power had built this car. Wheel Power used to be the distributor for Hamann back in the day. Hamann, whatever the hell you want to call it. When I was 13 and my brother was 16, his friends would come over and I'd take my dad's 560 Benz and take it up the street, wrap donuts, come back, and these guys would be watching me like, dude, what the hell is this 13-year-old, you know, doing? The funny thing is that 560 Benz ended up being my first car. I was probably not supposed to be doing any of that stuff. I don't recommend anybody who's at a young age watching this to do any of the stuff I used to do, but when I turned 16, that was my first car. It was a big boat, and back then I looked at that thing like a old Mercedes. At that point, you don't really realize how lucky you are to even be able to have a car, and you know, you don't appreciate the stuff that, you know, you're actually handed, which, you know, when you grow up you regret. But honestly, it was a hell of a car to be given at 16 years old with all that torque and no traction control, and me being a complete lunatic of sliding around everywhere. I drove that car for
about a year and a half, and I was constantly wanting to get out of it because it was so big and I wanted something a little bit more modern. And I kept, telling my aunt back then, my cool aunt, she had a C-Class, and I kept telling her like, hey, come on, let me take your car. Tell my uncle to get you something else. From there, I ended up one day getting a phone call from my aunt, and she's like, come over, I got a surprise for you. So I go over to their house, and I walk into the house, and she looks at me and she goes, here, congratulations. And she hands me the keys to her C-Class. And I'm like, the hell? The hell is this? And she goes, I convinced your uncle to get a different car for me, so this is yours now. So she gave me my C-Class, and right away I was like, all right, man, this is the car. It was stock. It had some hubcap looking wheels. It was all high, like a 4x4. And I was like, it was silver. And I was like, all right, this got to change. This got to change quick. I think the first place I went to was Charisma. I ordered suspension for that thing. And then I ordered Brabus wheels for it, and a Brabus front lip, and the little Brabus badge in the front and in the back. Got it all painted one color, and then slammed that car on Brabus's and put a full kit on it, and it looked so freaking mean. I mean, we had so much fun in that car. It had no balls. It was a 4-cylinder, so it wouldn't move. So going from the 560 and being able to have all that torque and just jam it and get sideways, we didn't have that in that car. So what I used to do is I used to fly into right-hand turns or left-hand turns, and I'd literally go as fast as I can, and I'd pop it into neutral. I'd rev that thing as high as I can, and I just drop the gear into drive and try to make that thing kick out. And that was the only way I would be able to get it to kick out. I would just literally drop it in neutral, rev it, swing it, and drop it into gear, and it would get sideways, this little 4-banger C-Class going around the corners. And that's probably the car that started getting me into the most trouble I've ever gotten into with the authorities. So I think in my teenage years, I got over 100 tickets. I probably haven't saved every single one of the tickets, but I have a binder that's at home at my parents' house. I think it's still there. I'll try to go grab it so we can show it to you guys. Here it is, man. This isn't everything, okay, guys? This is not everything. I wasn't joking when I tell you that I probably have the worst driving record you could ever find in your life. This one's awesome. Look at this one. Violation, accelerating to the point where the vehicle's tires lost traction with the ground. Exhibition of speed. I probably have at least like 30 of these for sure. Yeah, don't do this stuff, guys. I'm really honestly very lucky to be alive with how stupid we used to be. I don't recommend it at all. We've lost a lot of friends to car accidents and stuff. It's not funny. I just think we're showing you guys. Here's another one. Violation, acceleration, causing tires to lose traction. No front plate. What car is this in? This is in the Mercedes, the C-Class. I think in that binder minimum there's at least, 30 tickets, 40 tickets just in that binder. I put it in there so I could show my friends like, hey, look how many tickets I have, which didn't lead to being such a great thing because I was literally suspended 3 times and actually revoked twice. So when you get revoked, it's not like a suspension. When you get revoked, it's done. I mean, you basically don't exist in the system anymore as having a driver's license. So back then I had a lawyer that was in Glendale. His name was Mike. Thank you, Mike, for saving my ass so many times. And I'm sure you're thanking me for all the money we've paid you to actually let me have a license. These days we use Cam from Ticket Dismissers to take care of all that stuff. Cam's my boy and he takes care of all my tickets now, but I'm not as bad as I used to be. I've grown up, kids, trying to stay responsible and not keep the stupid stuff on the street. And after that car, it got even worse when I got my E36 M3. Here's my E36 M3, and that's my boy Shah's E30 M3. This picture was taken in 2002 in front of our old house. That's my E36 M3 on Commons, full Rieger kit. This car was unbelievable. I mean, it was at every single show, odd import nights and everything. I got my E36 M3 senior year. At that point, my brother had that car for a while. It was already all done up. I mean, it was the sickest M3 out there. Everybody knew that car. And basically after the C-Class, my brother gave me the E36 M3, and that's when he got his E46 M3. The saddest part about the E36 M3 was it was my senior year in high school. I didn't have a license. I hardly got to drive that car to school. I think I drove it to school for a month and a half or 2 months, something like that. I tried modding it and doing all this stupid stuff and tried to wide body it and put a, Le Mans like GTR wide body on it and completely destroyed the car. I destroyed my brother's favorite car, and I owe him one. Damn, look at that. Young me at Honda Import Nice trying to be cool. Oh, dude, I missed my car, man. That's one car I should have never, ever touched in my life. And look, crazy, look. It's got an F1 Motorsports license plate on it. That's where I used to go take everybody and do my little side hustle. I used to sell stuff. Look at that. Look at my engine bay. It was so nice, so clean. Look at that. And that's where I got into meeting a lot of people that own different shops. That's the first time I met Osh, which still is the owner of RMS. Race Marquee Systems. Back then, Osh used to be one of the top contenders of building supercharger kits for these cars. So it was basically him, Active Auto Works, and ESS that were the main guys. I used to take my car to Osh to get some work done. That's where I started really getting into, wrenching on cars, trying to build my own parts and trying to mod stuff. From 15 years old all the way to, I think I could say around 18 years old until I graduated high school, I would always be a middleman and go pick up people's cars and go take them to different shops like F1 Motorsports, Charisma, OHC, and this and that. So I would pick up uncles' cars, friends' cars, and all the shops knew me. So I was this little kid who used to come in there and roll up with these cars, and they'd drop me off there, and I'd pick the wheels, I'd pick the suspension, I'd pick the body kit, and I'd pick all this stuff. I would take it to Power Trip to get a tune, I would take it to F1 to get an exhaust, I would take it to F1 to get wheels. I had a body shop that I would take the cars to get all the body kits and everything painted, and that's how I used to make money on the side. That's how a lot of this started, modding cars, that I could actually make this a business and a way to make a living. As you guys could tell, I was more of a hands-on guy. School wasn't really for me. My parents knew that. I attended an Armenian school. After 6th grade, I had a teacher there that convinced my parents that I have ADD, ADHD, and all the other stuff that you could mark down in a book, and that I didn't belong at a school like that, and I needed a special help and so on. So they pulled me out of that school and they put me into an American school, which was for kids with learning differences. And that honestly was probably one of the darkest times of my life. I didn't want to accept the fact that I had ADD or ADHD. I didn't think that was a problem. I was just in too many places at once, and I've always been like that. I'm still like that till today. Being put into school like that really, had a big impact on me. People would come over and I would try to go and hide all the mail at home because it would say, my school's name, and underneath it would say like learning with a difference and all that kind of stuff. So I was put on Adderall, Ritalin, all that stuff at a young age. Even being put into that school and going through that and trying to have the extra help of, teachers or a different learning system, I didn't want it, man. It wasn't me. So I was never into it. And my parents could obviously realize that and see that I was a lot more creative just being on my own, trying to do my own stuff. And 11th grade, summer of 11th grade, I literally walked into my dad's office and I basically told him, listen, I know you're gonna hate this, but either you guys take me out of the school and put me back into my school with my friends, or else I'm not going to school. I'm like literally just not gonna go to school. You guys could drop me off every day and I'll just walk out. It took a little bit of convincing to let them have me come back to that school for my senior year, but after a few weeks of going there and meeting with the vice principal and having my parents talk to them and so on, they accepted me. It's not like I did any better in grades or anything like that. Never wanted to be in class, never wanted to do homework, never wanted to do any of that stuff. I just wanted to go out there and hustle. Like I was telling you guys, when I was 15, 16, I was constantly just trying to put wheels on people's cars and sell stuff like that. So while I was in school, I was trying to make deals. I would literally sell parts for cars. I would go to downtown on the weekends and literally go and pick up jewelry and sell jewelry in class. In school, I would sell all kinds of stuff, man. I used to sell cell phones, pagers, all kinds of stuff. These were also some of the cell phones I used to sell to people back in the day. If you guys remember these, the little Nokia 8890. Oh, look at that, man, another one. This was a sick phone, Ericsson. This was crazy back in the day. Got a camera in the back. Look at this thing. Oh, damn, another one. What's up? Nokia. Look at that. I have all these phones. I told you guys I wasn't lying when I was telling you I was slanging phones, man.
Senior year, got on the podium for our graduation to, accept our diplomas, and everybody's up there, and they start handing out, the little books with your diploma in it, and I'm standing there and I get mine and I open this thing and it's empty. And I'm like, where the hell's my diploma? Nobody's even telling me anything at this point. So whatever, They do the whole ceremony. Yeah, graduation. I throw my hat or whatever the hell we do, and we're celebrating like I graduated. Meanwhile, I don't even have a diploma in my book. So I walk up to the counselor and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, what happened over here? You know, why don't I have my diploma in here? And she's like, you know what? You didn't meet the curriculum for our school. You're missing 2 classes. You need to go to Valley College or community college, and you got to complete these 2 classes, and then you could come back here and get your diploma. And I'm like, dude, whatever. Okay. So we start going to Pierce College and Valley College, which are local community colleges over here. I start off going there with a bunch of my friends, and actually had a class with my girlfriend, which is my wife now. I did, I think, 10 units or something like that. I almost got her kicked out of class. Got a lot of other people in trouble. So I was like going to Valley College and Pierce every day and sitting in the class, and I was just like, dude, this is never gonna get anywhere. It's not for me. I decided I was gonna drop out. I wasn't gonna complete the classes to go get my diploma from high school. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to be something different. I wanted to make a name for myself. I wanted to create my own legacy, just like my grandfather did. The day I walked out of that college is the day that dream and that story started. I went home and I told my parents, like, hey, I'm done. I'm not going to school anymore. I'm gonna go buy Osh. I'm gonna join RMS, and I'm gonna start building cars, and I'm gonna work there for a little bit until I learn how to do this stuff, and I'm gonna put some money aside. I'm gonna invest into building my own company. And I think at that point, my parents had been through so much with me and the whole school stuff, and they could obviously see that it just wasn't panning out. My dad knew my love for cars and my passion to do all this, so he supported me and he let me start what it is today, Gintani. So in 2003, after walking out of community college, telling my parents that I'm not doing school anymore, I decided to walk into RMS, Race Marquee Systems. And I told Osh, hey, I want to start working here. I'm going to stop going to school, and I want to learn how to design product. I want to later on learn how to tune cars and do my own thing. So Osh knew me, he knew my passion, he knew how much I love cars, and he basically let me in with open arms. I started working there. I was wrenching on cars for a while. As I was working at Osh's, I was still doing my side hustle of doing, selling wheels and doing this and that, and just accumulating money and putting some money together so I could start my own thing. In 2004, I decided that I wanted to branch away from the RMS brand. I wanted to start something different and start off my own company. So I went up to my dad, told him I had a little bit of money saved up, and obviously money that I had saved up would not be enough to start my own company. So I asked him if he could give me a little bit of a help. We decided that we were gonna go to Crevier BMW and we were gonna buy a little red 2004 Mini Cooper S, and we were gonna start making mini parts. And that was literally the first car that I ever went and bought for myself. It wasn't a car that was my brother's that was given to me or whatever. It was a car that I actually went and I bought for myself, which was a huge deal for me, I brought it to Osh's and I told Osh, listen, I want to start my own company. We could partner. I'm gonna need your help. I want to start doing Mini Cooper parts, and I already got the car and I want to invest some money and start doing this. So he was all for it. My buddy Danny, which some of you guys might know him, Danny from Mini Corsa, my buddy Serge, were also working with me at RMS. Me and Osh went to lunch, we sat down, and I started trying to come up with names for the company. We went back and forth throwing a couple names, and then out of nowhere I turned to him and I go, Gintani. And I'm like, Gintani. And he's like, that's amazing. Gintani in Armenian means animal. That's where the name Gintani comes from. We took Gintani and we changed it a little bit so it doesn't sound too Armal. So we put a little bit of Italian into it and wanted to call it Gintani. And it's not Gintani, guys, it's Gintani. And that's where the name came from. Sitting at a little restaurant, Pita Kitchen in Sherman Oaks, California, Gintani Mini Works. And that's how it all started.
Oh, this was sick. Look at this thing, the Schnitzer wide body. This thing was so sick back in the day. I was obsessed with this car. Man, I wish we could find one of these in perfect condition. It was something that I probably did in school. Oh, it's crazy. It is something that I did in school. And look, the first person who pops up is my grandpa. Oh, damn. The next thing that pops up is the cars. And look at that thing. Thing was sick. And again, another page. The next thing that pops up is my grandfather again. And this is the last building that my grandpa built before he passed away. He was in Turkey and he built this. Basically, it goes underground. It's a full jewelry mall in the bazaar in Turkey, in Kapalıçarşı. And it's actually named after him. If you go there, it's still there and it says Rococo on there. Oh, this is pretty cool. So we're gonna give you guys a whole nother documentary, okay? And I'm gonna try to say it right now while we're sitting here because this picture's in my hand. We're rebuilding Paul Walker's race car. We're rebuilding Paul Walker's race car. And we're gonna do a full documentary on that. We have somebody who actually got the car from me. It's gonna be his car. He's somebody who deserves the car. He has two of Paul's other cars, and we're gonna start rebuilding Paul Walker's E92M3. But the reason I'm even talking about Paul Walker right now is because of this picture. This picture was signed by Paul and given to me by Paul when he was shooting Fast and the Furious in Miami. He actually sat by me the whole way back on the plane to LA. We'll go more down memory lane with that, but I actually had he had given me two of these because one was for me and I kept it, and the other one was for my girlfriend back then, which is my wife now, and he had signed one for her and to Romina and stuff, and I had given to her. But it's crazy that it's still in here. My history with Paul is pretty crazy. We'll get into that when we start doing all that stuff, but it just fell in my hand, so I thought I'd share it with you guys real quick. Oh. This is one of my closest friends that passed away years ago. They actually passed away in this car, and it's crazy. I had gotten those Hammond's made custom for this car. We had them all re-drilled and stuff because they never made it for a B5 S4. I don't think anybody's seen a B5 S4 on PG2s, but yeah, man, this is pretty crazy. Fine, okay. So now back to the dock. So right now we're driving around in the OG 2004 Cooper S that started everything. The car that basically started Gintani, which was Gintani Mini Works back then. We still have it, never sold it. A few years back, we put it all back together and my dad decided to drive it here and there once in a while. When we first decided to put it back together and get it running again, we looked at the cluster and I think it had like 5,500 miles on it. 2004, now today it has 22,000 miles on it. It's still hardly anything. I don't think I'll ever get rid of this thing because, I mean, this is basically the history of the company. This is what started the company, so it'll always stay in the family. It's still got our famous water-to-air integrated intake manifold, which was like the first big part that we ever made as a company. I mean, back in the day we used to think these things were quick. Right now it's like slower than a bicycle. But you know what's so funny? We never replaced this. I used to shift this thing so hard that I used to break these like left and right, and this one's still broken. Feels like forever to get there. I drive these things now and I'm like, dude, I can't believe we used to think these things were quick. Me and Danny used to have this, and Danny had a blue one. And we drive these things all the way to Vegas and to the track, and like, we thought we were so cool in these things, but I think like 6 resonators under this thing, 2 mufflers, and we actually have one side of the muffler is a full 3-inch, and then it splits to 2 3-inch mufflers in the back. My dad was going crazy, so we literally capped one side of the muffler. So one whole side, when it splits in the back and goes to the muffler, it works as like a drone pipe.
That's sick.
They get so freaking loud. So it still drives awesome. I mean, motor's nice and healthy. If you can shift it fast enough and, you know, no lift shift it, I don't come off the throttle when I shift this thing. So it's a pretty good transmission to be able to take it. Like right now, look. I don't remember the last time I beat the out of this car like this, but it's good to know that it can still handle it after this many years.
Well, the tire's breaking loose at second gear is crazy.
It torque steers. Fun car, man. Back then we were selling these intake manifolds
with the heat exchanger, with all the water pump, the tank, everything. I think it was like $2,600, which is, I think, a joke for the intake manifold that this car has. And people used to say that it was too expensive, so we had a hard time selling them. Now, people call us till this day, asking us if we still have some or if we'll make it. The funny thing is I have like, I think 10 or 15 of them in a box upstairs just sitting, but I'm not gonna put myself through that. So I think we'll keep one intake manifold just to have a history and put it somewhere. And then when we're moving all the stuff, the rest of them, I'm just gonna take them and put them on a bandsaw and cut them in half and throw them in the trash can.
You want to give them out to maybe some fans or anything like that? Or sell them to fans?
Yeah, we could do something. I mean, they're all sitting upstairs. We have so many parts upstairs that we don't use.
Gintani garage sale?
Yeah. We have all our supercharger kits for the V8s and the V10s, and we're actually working on a deal with that. So everybody who always contacts us asking if we would sell them a V8 or a V10 supercharger kit, we don't do it anymore, but we have a group of guys that actually want to take all the molds and the brackets and everything and start offering the supercharger kits again. So hopefully that deal goes through and you guys could get the real good supercharger kits for your E92s and E60s and so on. Yeah, I'm not opposed to selling any of the molds or any of the stuff and all the designs and stuff to somebody if they want to do it, but it ain't gonna be cheap. They would save a lot of money buying it from us than trying to do it themselves. Since we're driving on the street, I thought I'd stop here and show you guys when Danny basically left and started his own place, which was the first time he started Mini Corsa. He actually started out of this shop. He had one lift in here and he was basically servicing cars in and out of here, and that's how Mini Corsa started. Let's keep rolling. So as we're driving through these streets, we keep bumping into stuff that I've talked about while we're sitting down. Right across us right here, where the Van Nuys courthouse is, and this courthouse used to be one of my top visited places growing up. So all those tickets I told you guys about, I would always have to come to this courthouse and try to fight them. I'm sure there's the judges still maybe working that suspended and revoked my license like 5 times. Of course, now I don't go to court anymore because I got Cam from Ticket Dismissers that just takes care of everything for me.
They really need to sponsor this.
Yeah, Cam, you really need to sponsor this series, bro.
This is a third shout out.
Show us the money, bro. I know you got it, don't hide it. But here's the beautiful Van Nuys courthouse. Obviously, we're driving through the streets of Van Nuys, is where I literally destroyed every single day, and where you guys call the Gintani Highway, which we're approaching right now. Since 2004, actually before 2004 until now, we've been annihilating these streets of Van Nuys, and I'm pretty sure everybody's very happy that we're gonna be out of here real soon. We'll still be here. So if you're one of our neighbors and you're excited that you're never gonna hear from us again, sorry to say, that's not what's gonna happen, because we're still gonna keep the shop. It's gonna be a machine shop, so I'll still be pulling up here and there. I'll make sure to do some donuts, and I'll make sure to make some noise just to make sure that you guys know that we haven't left, and we'll always be there in the back of your minds. This is my street.
So
Bill's Burger, baby. That's Bill's Burger, guys.
It's an institution, right?
That place is ridiculous. That guy's been here in this area before there were even buildings or streets. It was like straight up dirt. I think he's 94 years old, 93 years old. But if you haven't had Bill's Burgers, come down Van Nuys, Oxnard, and go see Bill, have a burger. We should do an LA food tour. I could take you guys everywhere in LA for food.
Should we do like invite 1 or 2 subscribers and like just make a video out of that?
Yeah, we could do that.
That'd be
We could take him to St. Vincent's Deli in downtown. We could take him to Yucca's in Los Feliz. We could bring him to Bill's Burger. So many spots. I'm gonna race that guy right now. Ready? Let's go. Ready? Let's race this guy. Guys, like, what are these idiots doing?
That guy was a good sport about it.
Yeah, he was. He's chasing us actually.
Oh, really?
Oh, he's coming after us.
You want to check out the car? Yeah. All right. Yeah, we'll pull over somewhere.
This is pretty cool. We ended up getting pulled over by the guy we just tried racing. He's like, I want to check out the car.
Let's go,
How you doing? Alex.
I'm John. Nice to meet you.
Well, I own Gintani, modified exotic cars, Lamborghinis and Ferraris and
really?
stuff. But yeah, but there's the car that actually started the whole company in 2004.
Well, I just got this used one for my son.
Nice.
He just
Perfect.
turned 17. He's
Good
getting
car.
his license. I got a good deal on this, so I got it for him. and I'm having fun finding out all about it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
drive a Tesla,
Oh, okay.
but I'm like enjoying driving this
Yeah,
thing,
yeah, yeah, it's
and
fun.
it's nothing like this,
It's like
right?
a little go-kart. If you need anybody to service this thing and take care of it, go see our buddy Danny at Mini
I just thought that was so funny that you pulled up. And
Yeah,
you're
we're like doing a documentary and we're actually talking about this car and how it all started the whole company. And then we saw you and I'm like, dude, we gotta mess with him real quick. And then it's like, oh, yeah.
This is wild. So like, what did you do with this?
We bought this car in 04 and then we developed our whole air to liquid intercooler and stuff like that. This one's a supercharged one, so here, I'll try it.
Yeah, I've had it since 04.
So this was our main product that we basically built for these cars. So these cars had a intercooler that would sit up here on top and they would get so hot, it would get heat soaked because it's supercharged. And there was no air. It was supposed to get a little bit of air in here to cool down the intercooler, but it would sit right on top of the engine and the intake manifold.
That's why they had problems.
So they had problems over, it would get heat soaked. So you would have problems and then you would have power and then you do like 2-3 pulls and all the power would be gone. So we manufactured this. This has actually got a core that runs inside and we got water that runs through it. So the water goes into that tank and then it's got a heat exchanger in the front that's kind of like a radiator. So the water comes through the front, runs through that heat exchanger, gets cooled down by the air and then goes in, runs through this core.
But you can't put this on a non-S.
Not a non-S, no, it's got to be on a supercharged car. You want to go on a ride real quick?
Let's do it. Not bad,
That was exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right. That was fun. Let's get back to the shop, put this thing away. Here I am on the road again. Here I go up on the stage. Once we had basically decided the name for the company, we moved on to trying to decide on what products we were going to make. We took the Mini back to the shop and we started taking it apart. One of the main things that we noticed, as you guys saw us talk about it in the last video, is the intercooler system. So I wanted to make something where we can integrate the intercooler into the manifold, shortening up the passage for the boost to get into the head, and also make something where we could drop, intake temperatures. So the first piece that you guys see in the intake on the Mini was actually all made out of wood, and then we were sent off to the foundry to get casted. We used to buy all the intercooler cores, the little cores we had made by Turbonetics back in the day. We started welding those things together. We made some pulleys, exhausts, we made a header for that car, and then we went off to designing, obviously, rods, pistons, and so on. We started doing those products while we were still working out of RMS and Osh was still involved. At that time, Danny and Serge were with me while Danny and Serge were there, and we had started all that stuff. You guys have seen Steve-O in a couple of our episodes, probably. Steve-O joined us. That's when we started getting into playing with CNC machines. We bought our first CNC machine over there. Steve-O was just like learning how to program a CNC machine. We're all really young, man. We're kids, It was Steve-O, which has been with me for, wow, I could say like 20 plus years right now. So 25 years. Steve-O still works with us. As you guys see, he still machines stuff, and Steve-O will be moving into our existing building and we'll take care of the whole machine shop side. So we will have Machino Prime and Gintani machine shop over there in the new building. And as we were progressing and we had ideas, we would go up to Osh and we would tell him, hey, we want to do this way and we want to do this way. And he would tell us, hey, listen, you leave the hardware up to me. You guys are too young to basically make these decisions. You don't know what I'm talking about. Let me do it the way I'm doing it. And we started to clashing heads because I had ideas. I had basically grown out of the way he wanted to do stuff. I had more passion for this and I wanted to do it the way I wanted to do it. I basically turned around and told Danny and Serge and Steve-O that I'm ready to leave. Even though it's going to be hard, we won't have a CNC machine. We might lose some of the stuff. So I was like, you know what? We take our losses, we cut our losses, we move on. And we start from zero. I told everybody, like, this is your decision. It's your life. You got to decide if you want to come with me or if you want to do your own thing. We had a long conversation and we ended up, me, Steve-O, and Serge splitting. Danny decided he wanted to go his own way
and start a service shop. So he moved on, as you guys saw in the last episode. We drove by Danny's first shop where he had that one lift and he used to service cars out of that one lift. He's moved on. He's built a great business for himself. That's Danny's 996 Carrera. This guy tracks everything. There's no car that he doesn't track. This is his 991.2 GT3 that he tracks a living out of. You guys should go and follow his Instagram page, Mini Corsa, and look at the lap times this guy puts down. It's unbelievable that to think that this guy is wearing shorts and a t-shirt in this car with no safety gear and going as fast as he's going. He's a complete lunatic. That's why I asked you. Hi, everybody. Oh, oh look. That's the OG. Now it's just a freaking chair. This car, this idiot over here behind me,
Hello.
cut this car up for no reason.
No, there was a very valid reason. What was about? I didn't want anybody else driving the car.
Yeah,
My car.
Yeah, he didn't want anybody else driving the car because it was his car, so he decided to take the poor car that had nothing wrong with it and he was tracking the out of and do this. Right here is that car. What the fuck? We've sat in the trunk of this car a few times too when it was running back in the day. I don't get it, man.
Oh, there's the rest of it.
And there's the rest of it. That's the front clip. This is hilarious because me and Danny bought these cars around the same time. I bought mine, and then Danny bought his right after. So these are all his cars, bro. His E90. That's the GT3, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the car you should have never sold.
Yeah.
We'll keep reminding him of that.
Guess what I sold it for?
Yeah. 60 grand?
No.
How
Look, price?
Yeah.
Forget the price. What car I sold it for?
What car you sold?
M4.
Oh my God, what a...
Yeah.
This guy sold a 996 GT3 that had everything done. It was a sick car. Guards red. You can't get anything better than that. For that, right there.
Yeah.
Who the hell sells that for this? It's supposed to be the other way around, bro. You go from BMW to Porsche, not from Porsche back to BMW.
You live and learn.
Yeah. I guess the best thing we ever did with Danny was to leave RMS and to
As much as we love Osh.
yeah, we love you, Osh, but yeah, Osh taught us a lot. We're not gonna take that away from him ever. I mean, if it wasn't for Osh, we wouldn't know a lot of the stuff that we know today. So we respect that and we take that with us every single day. You guys see that he's ventured into doing a bunch of Porsche stuff. He's constantly at the track. So if you guys need any track support or any recommendations on how you want to drive your car, sit in the car with this guy and we'll make your balls go into your... We've done a lot of crazy stuff. And yeah,
This guy's back then.
this guy back then,
Almost 20 years
his
ago.
hair used to be like this. We'd go out to clubs and stuff. Like everybody think he was Serge from System of a Down.
I'm getting it again now.
Yeah, he would get tables. We'd get tables. We'd have chicks walking up to us asking to take pictures with him, and I'd sit there and lie and say I'm his manager. It worked. It was a lot of fun. Good old days. Like where are we going? Nothing changes, bro. We might be 40, but we're still doing the same. Me, Serge, and Steve-O decided to get a small place because that's all we could afford. We went to Canoga Park and we found the place, 1,500 square feet. Landlords was Matt West Company. I'll never forget that name and I'll tell you guys why. We actually didn't have too much, paperwork to back us up, so we needed to have a co-signer. I asked my dad to co-sign for us. He co-signed on the lease and we basically moved into this little 1,500 square foot shop on Alabama Street in Canoga Park, and we started our venture as being Gintani alone, no Osh, no RMS, none of his history, just start our own history. Alabama was a great place. That's when we started still doing Mini Cooper stuff, and then I decided, you know what, this whole Mini Cooper thing is not gonna fly. There isn't enough business out there to just concentrate on a Mini Cooper. A lot of people are obviously complaining about pricing and so on. Back then I was telling you guys that intercooler setup was like $2,800 from what I remember, and people were complaining that it was too expensive. So it was getting hard to, sell stuff for the Minis. And I've always loved BMWs all my life, and I've always wanted to do BMW stuff, but we never did because we're, a part of RMS and Osh back then. We didn't want to mix it up. We decided, you know what, forget it. I'm gonna take apart my 846 M3. We're gonna take apart my buddy's E36 M3, and we're gonna start making supercharger kits for these cars. And we're gonna start doing tuning. So back then I wasn't tuning, but we needed somebody that was, in the business of doing factory ECU stuff. The first J that came into my life, his name was Jesse, and he used to work for Power Gym. I knew Jesse for a few years, I could say 3 years before we got into this shop, and we used to work on and off, and he used to do some stuff for me through Power Chip. He convinced me that he should come and join Gintani, and he should become our tuner. In the beginning, we were doing pretty good. We're selling a lot of tunes. We had a lot of customers come in. He had a good customer base, so we were doing a lot of tuning in and out, you know, selling quick off-the-shelf tunes and stuff like that. Everything was going good, and everybody's all happy. And then obviously, Jesse comes in. We're selling a bunch of stuff. We have a guy that works next door to us. He does tints and stuff like that. His name is Osni, cool little guy. He would bring people over and we would tune some cars. And Osni had one main client that had a pretty bad Ferrari F430 Spider. His name was Corey Dillon. He was a professional NFL player, and Corey started bringing some of his cars to us. So we tuned Corey's Bentley, we tuned a couple other cars for Corey. We started working on the Ferrari, and we decided we're gonna twin turbo the Ferrari F430. Before we started, I asked Jesse, I'm like, listen, I can make the hardware, man. Are you sure we're gonna be able to do the software for this car? Like, it's not a joke, you know? I don't wanna take this on and then get screwed at the end. And we get into this, we get the Ferrari in, and as we're planning on how to build the Ferrari and so on, Corey had retired from the NFL. He had really nothing to do. And he was like, man, I wanna get into this business. He starts talking to me and Jesse about partnering up and doing this and doing that. And then I go home and I'm talking to my brother and my dad, and they're like, you know what, man, you already made a mistake bringing one guy in. Don't make another mistake trying to bring somebody else in just for, you know, money and try to make you guys, you know, grow, and all the stuff that you guys are gonna do, it's gonna turn into a disaster. Obviously, I was really young and extremely excited to think that we were gonna have somebody like Corey with the attention that he gets, just the limelight of being a football player, and him being able to promote us as a shop, and obviously being able to get out of this 1,500 square foot building and get a different building and get CNC machines again. And oh, wow, dude, like I got my ticket out. Like there's a way to do it. You know, I didn't want to borrow any more money from my dad. I didn't want to ask people for anything. I had built a brand. It was starting to grow, and I had a guy who wanted to invest. Jesse convinced Corey to do it, and he convinced me to do it, and Corey Dillon became a partner. And once Corey Dillon became a partner, stuff started moving real quick. Corey invested $500,000 at that time. Once that money was invested, it was game on, dude. Jesse wanted to get a big place, buy a dyno, buy CNC machines, buy this, buy that. And man, it happened so quick. I can't even explain to you guys. Like, we went across the street, the Matt West company, which was right across, their office was right across the street from us. And we're like, we need a bigger place. Instantly, they showed us this place in Van Nuys, which is right down the street from where we are right now on Bessemer Street, which if you guys watch our old Instagram stuff and YouTube videos, you see us do polls in front of that shop nonstop with the BMWs. So we went to Mount West, and they signed a lease on this place for us like instantly. They were so happy because our rent went from $3,500 or $2,800 a month to $11,800 a month. Overnight, we went from 1,500 square feet to 11,500 square feet, which was a big mistake. It was completely empty. It was just an empty warehouse with one bathroom. I mean, you need a showroom, you need offices, you need this, you need that. So instantly we started building offices, showroom. We ordered a Dyno Dynamics dyno back then, which we paid $110,000 for. Then we bought a Milltronics CNC machine, a 3-axis mill, which back then I think we paid like $80-something thousand for that. Brand new lifts, air compressor, all the construction, redoing everything, buying new tools, racks, toolboxes. I mean, we were going through this money like it was nothing. I mean, it was starting to just decrease and decrease and decrease. And I was like, man, this is moving too fast. We never even got to a point where we finished furnishing those offices before we already started having problems. This is our old shop. This is the place that we used to pay $11,500 a month for. It was 11,000 square feet. If you guys see, they cut a hole to the other side. Obviously, the wall that was originally there is where our shop used to end. Yeah, so this street was our test street. We used to freaking fly up and down from here like crazy. The cool part about this place was there was no houses or apartments or anything real close by, so we would work till like 2, 3, 4 in the morning here. was awesome because we would stay here and we'd do dynos until 2, 3 in the morning, and all the police officers from Van Nuys PD down here would come and hang out with us at like 3 in the morning, and they would come and watch all the cars. We had a few builds going on, and at this point, Steve-O was up and running on the CNC machine, so we were building intercoolers and stuff like that for different platforms, and we were trying to sell all that stuff. And at the same time, we were building Corey's F430. Back then, you know, it took a lot of time to build that stuff. It was our first time doing a twin turbo kit on a Ferrari, and I was very meticulous on how I wanted everything, and I wanted everything to be perfect. So we CNC machined the full intercoolers. Everything was made out of billet. Back then, we didn't have a fabricator, so the hot side, the exhaust side piping and everything we had sent out to my buddies, Danny and Tony from Fast Intentions in Simi Valley, which are my friends, and we still, you know, do work together till this day, even though we fabricate everything in-house now. And as this whole process was going on, we're really running low on funds, man. And it was getting pretty bad. We weren't really bringing any money into, you know, grow on top of what Corey had given us. He was getting frustrated because he was like, dude, where's this going? When are we gonna start making money out of this place? It's been, you know, a year or whatever that we're in here. We spent all this money to build this place. We basically brought in my dad, my brother, me, Corey came in, and a couple of the guys that were working with me then, and we sat down. Even Jesse was there, and we're basically like, man, if we're gonna keep making this work, we're gonna need some more funding to be able to do this. And Corey was like, dude, I'm done. I'm not giving any more money. And obviously Jesse had nothing. He had nothing to give. He hadn't invested a penny into this business. He hadn't put $1 into any of this. So he basically became a partner for free. So I had a little bit of money on the side. I had decided that I would put more money into the business and try to see where it was going. Corey was like, dude, I'm out. I want out of this thing. The only people Corey could actually really go after to get any of his money would be me, my father, and my brother. At that point, Jesse decided to disappear. Dude, we couldn't find this guy for like months. And when he disappeared, he had access to the accounts. The next day that he was gone, he didn't show up, like 2 days, 3 days, we started seeing like money missing out of the account. This getting pulled, that getting pulled, and all this stuff. And we started going through all the account history, and we're seeing like so many payments for ridiculous stuff, like his own car, his house, whatever, all this stuff. He was basically trying to convince Corey that I had taken all the money and I had used it for stuff for my own, which was complete bullshit. And Corey had it. He was pissed off. We got into a pretty nasty fight. He was like, I'm gonna sue you guys. And we're like, all right, cool, no problem. I mean, what can I do? This guy took all the money. He freaking ran off. He's trying to convince you that I'm the one who did this. You know, I'm still here every single day, trying to work, trying to make money, trying to, you know, finish your car, trying to do this, try to do that. Meanwhile, by the way, guys, Jesse had no idea how to tune the F430, just to let you guys know about that. We got into a lawsuit, and till this day, people bring up that lawsuit. They're like, oh, Gintani's been in a lawsuit before. It's like, bro, everybody's been in a lawsuit. So when Corey sued us, he wanted to sue us for everything. Every penny that he put into the company, the money that he had invested to get the parts for the Ferrari, and also take the car to a Ferrari dealer to put it all back to stock. Meanwhile, we could have put that car back to stock in a matter of like 2 days, but he didn't want to touch it, which I completely understand. At that point, the guy was fuming, and he didn't want anything to do with us. So he got the car towed out, and he sent it to a Ferrari dealer, and then the Ferrari dealer sent us a ridiculous bill, which was, I think back then, like $58,000 or something like that, $60,000 to put the car back to stock. Meanwhile, every single part was there. They just had to put like intake boxes and exhaust and whatever. They added all this crap on there. Whatever, that got tacked into the lawsuit. And somehow this guy, Corey, drags my dad and my brother's name into it, which have nothing to do with the company, and my name, because he knows if we're the only people he's going to be able to go after to get money. You know what I mean? He's not going to be able to get money from Jesse. So we basically go to mediation, and, you know, we went maybe a few times. Just so everybody knows, and this is clear, this lawsuit never went to trial, guys. It was settled. Basically what we agreed to, which was the right thing to do, basically pay Corey back for everything he invested, because the guy just went into the business blindly. He didn't know this was going to happen. He supported us. He gave us money. That money was his. A lot of the money was spent on, you know, the dyno machine, the CNC machine, and a bunch of other stuff we did in the shop. So there was stuff that was, you know, valuable that we would still keep, and we paid him back $550,000. We did that. and we made him sign paperwork saying that basically he has no shares or no anything in Gintani. At that point, Jesse was automatically freaking kicked out because the guy basically ran away with money, which we proved all of this in our meetings with Corey. So Corey saw exactly what happened with all the money. Gintani was again signed all over to me. So it was only my company. We basically made the agreement with Corey. Corey has been paid in full. We don't owe Corey a penny. Yeah, this is right when the crash happened, man. This is like 06. Nobody's spending money. You know, we're in a lawsuit. We got to pay this guy $550,000. This guy, Jesse, has ran off with all this money. We're in an 11,500 square foot building with like $12,000 rent. No work coming in. 5 employees. Really dark time in my life. You know, I went from splitting from Osh, doing our own thing, which I should have listened to my dad. I should listen to my brother, and I'll say this over and over again because I made another mistake after this, which we'll get into, and they told me not to do that one too, but I was just young, naive, stupid, and I wish I never did any of this, because if I hadn't done any of this, all that money that we basically spent to pay Corey back or to pay the lease on this 11,000 square foot shop that we didn't need, none of that would have happened. We would have grown slower. It would have taken more time, but honestly, at the end of the day, it would probably have been a million times better. Now back onto making supercharger kits for the V10 BMW platform and the V8 BMW platform. I had one of the first cars that actually came to Los Angeles. I bought from Center BMW, one of the first V8 M3s. We took it all apart. We had Danny and Tony, again, we still didn't have a fabricator back then. We had Danny and Tony build the X-pipe and the rear section for this car. Till today, we sell those, you know, not a lot. And till today, I've never pulled those fixtures out of Fast Intentions. So we have a huge fabrication team now. We do all our fabrication in-house. Until this day, those jigs, those fixtures, stay at Danny's and Tony's. And we put the order through them. We go pick it up from them, and that's how it gets sold. I don't believe in ever taking anything away from anybody. That's something they had done and will always stay with them. I'll never stop that relationship. So again, we didn't have a tuner. We had met a guy named Jeremy, J2. I meet this guy named Jeremy through a few mutual friends. He used to work for Power Chip too. That's the funniest thing in the world. So this guy works for Power Chip. He's here from Australia. He comes by the shop and we start tuning some cars together. Obviously at this point, my shop back then was like one of the only shops that had a all-wheel drive dyno and this and that. So any tuner's dream to have a shop like that to be able to sell stuff, right? So yeah, at this point, I really didn't know how to tune. I was trying to learn. I was trying to learn how to use the editors and, you know, WinOS, and tried to buy the Dim Sport stuff, try to use their stuff. So Jeremy rolls in. We were doing pretty good. We were basically one of the first ones to have a supercharger kit on the V8 M3 and the V10 M5. So we finished the kit. We complete all the hardware. We're ready to start this car. And we're okay, we could start it on factory software. So we started up, you know, car starts, we got the manifold. Back then the manifold looked like a little pancake, you know what I mean? It was our first intake manifold we had made or whatever. It worked. We start the car, everything's running, and then Jeremy's like, all right, I could tune this thing. So we start having this guy play with it when we're tuning it. It's okay, and it's working okay. And I'm like, man, you know how to do this? He goes, yeah, I know how to do this. I got it. I'm like, okay, cool, you know. He starts tuning these cars, and back then we're on like low boost, so we're not really pushing this thing. So everything seems to be good. Everything's fine. We get in this car. We drive all the way to Vegas to M-Fest. We're basically one of the first ones to ever have a supercharger kit on this car. VF Engineering is there with theirs. So we were the first, me and VF. Nick at VF, and VF had to tow their car there, so the car wasn't running. They would be able to start it up and rev it up and whatever, but they wouldn't be able to drive it. And we were showing up to the show late. We were running late, you know. So we drive this car from LA to Vegas, and we get to M-Fest and we roll up, and everybody's around, like, you know, checking out the VF kit, and they're all excited. And we roll up in a red, Marlboro red M3, you know, slammed on wheels. And I roll in there in the parking lot and I just start revving this thing like crazy. You get to hear all the blow-off valve noises going off, and people are like, what the hell? You know, they actually see a running car, and they just literally everybody flocked over to this car. That was our first show that we did, M-Fest, and it was huge for us. So we continued making these M3 kits and the M5 kits. Little did I know that, I guess Jeremy somehow had made like we call it a salad, a copy-paste file from like 10 different companies put all together to make these cars run. And there was stuff that was obviously wrong and we were having some issues, but trying to work through it. But we're doing really, really good with the M3 market. We're probably the M3 and the M5 market. We're the top. When we first started, we were selling more kits than ESS. We were selling more kits than VF. We were selling more kits than Active. Like, we were the guys. So this is in 2008, I think. We did the Euro Tuner shootout. They used to have this back in the day. That was actually my E90 M3, which used to be Brian's E90 M3 back then, my old tech. And that had our Stage 2 kit on there. You guys could see it's got the flat manifold. That was when we were CNC machining them before we started the bulge casting and all that stuff. That's the OG kit, basically. The only guys that beat us back then were the 034 guys in this crazy S4 they had. Our horsepower, we were second place. The track times and everything, we ended up being second place. I'm like a young little kid over here. Got no facial hair. Got a little mustache thing going. I look like a porn star. And then over here, this is the dyno competition. Back then, see 034, they made 908 wheel on that S4 back then. That thing was crazy. We're second place. We made 592 wheel. And we basically came in second place for everything. This was at Button Willow back in the day. Missed that car. We had given it to NJ and then he sold it. So we gotta beat NJ up. That's another one. The BBS CHs, the flat top manifold, 6-speed manual, no DCT. That's Paul Walker's car right there. That's when we raced Time Attack for a few years with Paul. We still have that car. I told you guys we're gonna be shooting a whole build series on that. And then that's Josh's car. Josh used to be pretty famous on the forums back in the day. His name was Tidy, I think. Now he runs Speed District. He doesn't have a BMW anymore. Now he drives Porsches. He's too cool for us. I shouldn't be talking. This is one of the first built motor cars that we did. Big YSI blower. You can see it here. We had to trim the outside casing for the YSI to actually fit in the car because it was so big. This car put down, I think, 780 wheel horsepower back then. And we had one guy, his name is Drew Johnson. Drew, I'll never forget you. Drew had a E92 M3. He was pretty big on the forums. He reached out to us and he was like, I want to put a supercharger kit on my car. You know, I don't want to spend the money for it, whatever, this and that, obviously, what everybody asks for. Would you do a sponsorship? So we start looking into this guy and we're like, oh, this guy, you know, got a big following. We basically make a deal with Drew. We give him a supercharger kit for $2,500. Basically, the guy just paid for the head unit, the blower. Everything else was on us. Drew goes out there and he's killing it, dude. He's setting all the records, 60 to 130, all the, you know, half mile, whatever records back then. His car was ridiculously fast, stock motor. It was really good for us because he was like our mascot on the forums. One day we get a phone call from Drew and he's like, hey man, I'm stuck in the middle of the street. I'm like, all right, cool, what happened? He goes, I don't know, there's oil everywhere. And I'm like, oh shit. So he tows the car in, we put the car up on the lift and I get underneath the car, it's all covered in oil everywhere. And like the wheels, everything is covered in oil. This whole thing is drenched. So we pulled the bottom pan off, the metal pan. And as we're pulling it off, just stuff is just falling on the floor, man. And I see like a rod cap on the floor and a bolt and a piece of a piston. And I'm like, oh my God, we're so right now. We open this thing and there's just like a big old hole in the block and you can see Adele on the other side, you know, just looking in at us. And we're like, bro, we're so screwed. I called Drew and I'm like, bro, we got a hole in the block. And he's like, what, this and that, what the hell, what are we gonna do, whatever. And back then, the M3 engine was so new, like we didn't really know the problems that these motors had, you know? So we're like, bro, we'll take care of it, you know? Let's just give us some time. We're gonna pull the motor out. Let's figure out what's going on. We start inspecting it, you know, and going through it. And we look at the oil pump and we realize that, you know, it's got a lot of areas where it can create air pockets in the oil pump to deliver oil to the rod bearings and the main bearings. And then we started looking into the tolerances of the rod bearings and they were so tight. And we were looking at the rest of the rod bearings, which the rod hadn't broke on, and we could see that the bearing wear on this thing was ridiculous, you know, with the fact of how new the car was. This has nothing to do with the supercharger kit. Like, we're looking at the pistons, everything's clean, no detonation, everything is beautiful, nothing wrong. So we're like trying to figure out, dude, what the hell happened to this thing? It didn't detonate itself to death, you know, and nothing like that happened. You know, something else. It's got to be, you know, a factory issue. We called Drew, we told him, hey, listen, man, it happened. We're going to buy you a motor. Back then, motors for these cars were like $45,000. We buy Drew a motor. The motor comes. We put the motor in. We put the supercharger kit back in. We put everything back in. Get the car back on the dyno. Make sure everything is good. I basically called Drew and I tell him, hey, listen, you know, everything's good. You can come pick up the car. You know, we can't guarantee this whole rod bearing failure thing because we got to look more into this and see, you know, what's causing this. You know what I mean? But we took care of your car. Everything's back. You don't owe us any money on the house. So give Drew the car back and we move on. A couple weeks goes by and we don't hear from Drew. I'm trying to reach out to him and this guy won't answer back. And all of a sudden I hear from somebody that he's going to move on. And the whole time we were working on a car and putting a new motor in it for him, he was talking to ESS. And I guess he had this whole thing planned with ESS and they sent him a blower for his car. And that's when everything went freaking downhill for us for the whole BMW market. He made a agreement with ESS, and with that agreement came the fact that he would claim that ESS's stuff was better than ours. We lost a lot of sales. ESS started selling a lot more supercharger kits than we were. They actually became the first #1 provider for supercharger kits for the V8 market. That hurt us so bad, man. We basically hit like a plateau. Like we're done. We weren't selling. Our lease was coming up in this 11,000 square foot building. Now I had the second J in my life, Jeremy. He wanted to basically partner up and start a tuning company aside of Gintani. Also at that time, I went through a really dark part of my life. I lost my best friend. It was just horrible, man. We needed to freaking basically figure out what we were gonna do with the rent. This is in like 2008. I basically called Matt West and I was like, hey, you know, economy's really bad. I need you guys to help me out with the lease so we could stay here. We put over $150,000 into your building, you know, revamping it and doing all this. And they're like, oh, let's see what we could do for you. They call me back and they're like, we'll give you 30 cents off. And I was like, what? 30 cents off? Man, you can go yourself, you know what I mean? I call my dad and I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You have any advice? Like, what should we do? These guys are only giving us 30 cents off. Like, I need to move. Jeremy wants to start this whole thing. I think we could do good with this, you know, tuning company aside of Gintani, make some good money with tuning and whatever, this and that. And he's like, I don't think you guys should stay there. You got to start looking for a new place. So either you close this place, you move out of there, you don't move into a new place, you just shut the stuff down and you call it the end and you walk away and you come to downtown and work with me. And I'm like, dude, no, I'm not doing that. I mean, I'm going to make this work. I don't care how bad we got hurt. I'll never forget that day I literally sat in the car and I'm driving down Oxnard and I'm like, oh my God, look. There was always this building on Oxnard and it was the only building that had a showroom in the front. And it was called American Muscle. It was a Corvette shop. And I loved that building because it was the only building that had a nice big property. It only had one building on it back then. It had a showroom in the front. And these guys wouldn't even use the showroom. And I used to get so pissed off. Like the showroom used to be like plexiglass windows and they were so old. They had all like deteriorated and you can't even see through it and stuff. And I was like, man, these guys have like the best building on the street and they don't even use the showroom and this and that. And I love that building. So I'm driving by and I look and I'm like, oh, it says for sale or for lease. I call my dad. I'm like, hey, Dad, remember there's that building I always tell you about? It's a good property. One day, like, I would love to own it, this and that, whatever. He goes, yeah. You know, I'm like, it says it's for lease or for sale. He's like, all right, call, check what happens. I call this guy. I'm like, parked in front of the building. I call, and I'll never forget, man. This guy picks up the phone. He's like, John Paley. And I'm like, hey, John, how you doing? He's like, I'm good. How are you? I'm like, I'm good. You know, my name is Alex. I just noticed, you know, the building on 14212 Oxnard Street. You know, that building's always been a dream for me. I've always wanted to, you know, be in that building. I see it says either for lease or for sale. And he's like, oh, yeah, that building. It's a great building. I'm like, yeah. I go, so what's the lease on it? He goes, well, yeah, my guys put the wrong sign up there. So it's not for lease. It's only for sale. And I'm like, you know, like, how the hell am I going to buy this building? Like, there's no way. So I'm like, oh, okay. What are they asking for it? Just out of curiosity. So back then, I think they were asking like 1.250 or something like that. Man, I got no business in this. Like, what am I even talking to this guy? But I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to bolt myself into this and see what happens. So I go, yeah, 1.2 is a little too much. It's out of my budget. You know, I'm a young guy. I have some money saved up. You know, I could probably open escrow pretty quick and get this deal going. Well, I'm just both. Like, I got nothing. You know, I got some money put away on the side, but I can't afford a $1.2 million building. I'm like, forget it. Let me make some stupid offer and see what happens, you know? I go, how about we do $950,000 and, you know, we could go into escrow tomorrow. I haven't talked to anybody. I haven't talked to my dad about it. I haven't talked to my brother about it. I haven't told them anything. I just told my dad, like, this building is available, whatever. He's like, yeah, son, I don't think 950 is going to cut it. But he goes, I'll take it to my clients and see what they say. I'm like, okay, cool. Please let me know soon. He goes, I'm going to give him a call right now. So I literally drive down the street to 7-Eleven, pull up into 7-Eleven. I'm in the car. I call my dad. I'm like, Dad. So I talk to him. It's not for lease. He's like, okay. I'm like, it's for sale. He goes, oh, okay, cool. You know, like, how much do they want for it? I'm like, I think they want like 1.2 million. I go, but I did something. He's like, what did you do? I said, I offered him $950,000. And he's like, he goes, who the hell is going to give you a building that's listed for $1.2 million for $950,000? He goes, are you dreaming? He goes, if somebody gives you that building for $950,000, he goes, today we'll figure out a way to buy it. All right, okay, you know, this guy's not going to call me and, you know, accept this anyway. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll let you know what happens. I go inside, grab my Red Bull, grab my pack of Parliaments. I walk outside. I'll never forget, man. I get my hair like stands up when I talk about this. I literally walk outside, man. I put my ass on the fender of the front of the M3 and I'm just sitting there. I open my pack. I pop my can of Red Bull open, take a swig out of my Red Bull, my phone rings. I'm like looking, I'm like, oh, it's this John Paley guy, you know? And I pick up the phone and I'm like, hello? And he goes, hey, this is John Paley. I'm like, hey, how you doing, sir? He goes, I'm doing good. He goes, how you doing? I'm like, I'm doing good. He goes, let me ask you a question, kid. And I'm like, what? He goes, are you anywhere close to a liquor store or something you could walk into and you could buy a lottery? And I'm like, yeah, I'm actually standing right in front of 7-Eleven. He goes, why don't you walk in there, kid, and buy yourself a lotto ticket? Because today's your lucky day. He goes, this building was left in a trust to an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old. And I just gave them your offer and they accepted it. And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me right now? They accepted my offer. He goes, yep, they took the offer. They want to get rid of the building as soon as possible. They want the money. And I was like, what am I going to do, dude? Like, where the hell are we going to figure this out? So I call my dad and I'm like, Dad, they accepted my offer. And he's like, dude, get the hell out of here. Like, there's no way they took your offer. I'm like, dude, they accepted my offer. Like, what am I supposed to tell this guy? I don't have, you know, that money or whatever to put down for this thing. And, you know, I have something, but, you know, my brother might have some money together. We could put our money together. I don't know what we're going to do. He goes, there's no way somebody's giving you this building for $950. I go, listen, the guy's name is John Paley, okay? Here's his phone number. Call him and talk to him and you'll see I'm not bull. This guy's going to give us the building for $950,000. So he's like, okay, let me call him. I'll call you back. So my dad calls John and John's like, yeah, your son just made the deal on this building and, you know, they accepted the offer. So my dad calls and he's like, what the hell did you do? And he's like, damn, now we got to figure out how to get it down for this thing. That's how we solved our Bessemer and how we got out of that 11,000 square foot building. Me and my brother had saved up some money. He basically put in all the money that he had saved up. And I put in all the money that I had. And then obviously my dad helped us and we figured out how to open escrow on that thing. And we bought the building on 14212 Oxnard Street, which is Gintani Highway today.
So we're at the 7-Eleven that I was telling you guys about when I got the phone call from John Paley. And he told me that I basically won the bid on the shop. Let's go inside and grab a Red Bull real quick. We're gonna grab a Red Bull, but one thing we're not gonna grab is Parliaments because I'm for over 4 years now. So there's a guy over here, he was our homie back in the day. His name was Kuldeep. We used to get these spicy hot dogs from here all the time. We don't eat those spicy hot dogs anymore, but
Got Red Bull. This one's actually pretty good. I usually don't drink stuff like this. You drinking it just because of you guys?
crack that Red Bull. Left her in an E92 M3 last time. We leave it in an 812 this time.
It was unbelievable how that even happened. I don't even know how we got that building for that much, but it happened. Thank God. It was like one of the best investments I ever made. It was the best choice I ever made. It was the best phone call I ever made. You know what I mean? No matter what you're born into, you know what I mean? If your family is more capable than other families, at the end of the day, if it's a dream that you're trying to achieve, a dream that you're trying to go after, you got to follow your dream. Ain't nobody else going to do it for you. I mean, I went through a lot, man. You know, people say we're lucky and we've had it easy and whatever. None of that exists. Okay, everybody could have everything in the world one day. The next day it's gone. We watched my dad go through that for years, from being up to down. You never know what could happen. Money's here one day, the next day it's gone. So if you got to follow your dream, it's all up to you to do it. And it doesn't matter how strong you know, how hard it is, how much stuff you go through. If you don't put your head up, wake up every morning and say, I'm gonna win, you'll never be able to do what you're doing. It's crazy because right now we're emptying this place and we're in the middle of moving to the new shop. So it's kind of crazy watching this place getting emptied out and gonna be turning into a machine shop, and I probably will spend hardly any time here. I'll only come here and there when we're developing stuff in the machine shop, but we've had a lot of good times in this place, and can't wait to make new memories at the new place. There it is, guys, the U-Haul squid. No, seriously, this is gonna be a pain in the... Anybody want to help us move so we can get this quick? Oh damn, no. Yeah, ride it, go. Once we bought that building, I basically called the Matt West company and I told them to off. They wanted to give us a 30-cent decrease in our rent from $11,500. They took 30 cents off. We basically told them that we would not be extending our lease and we will start pulling everything out of there and we're moving out. So when we started that process, as I was telling you guys, Jeremy was convincing me to start a second branch, another business, so I could become 50-50 partners with him aside of Gintani, because I never wanted to give any portion of Gintani up to anybody ever again after what I went through with Jesse and Corey Dillon and all that. And I said I would never put a partner into Gintani again. So we went back and forth. He was doing a lot of the tuning back then. I was still trying to learn how to tune the cars. In between trying to do hardware and try to run the business, I didn't really have too much time to dedicate to, you know, learning how to use the editor software and all that other stuff. When we decided to revamp the new building and do construction, we had agreed that we were going to open a new company. That company's name was going to be called OE Tuning. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of OE Tuning. I used to be 50% owner of OE Tuning. We also built the second building, which is on our property right now. That was not originally there. We spent a lot of money putting that building up and we built that so Jeremy could work out of there. And we're doing pretty okay. We had slowly started getting newer customers and we had started doing built engines. We looked at it as a way of, we had to step away from the bolt-on like stuff where ESS had, you know, basically taken over the market, thanks to Drew. So we started building, you know, the motors, rods, pistons, sleeves. I mean, I've been through hell and back with those motors on those cars. I mean, there isn't one thing that I haven't possibly tried for the S65 and the S85 block. So we were constantly running into issues with the tuning side of stuff, and I was trying to figure out what was going on, and it was really hard to, you know, understand what was happening because I was obviously not editing the software myself. So I kept going back and forth to Jeremy. I'm like, man, there's something wrong. We have these cars on the dyno and we're now trying to make big boost and big power, and for some reason we can't get these cars to go below 18 degrees of timing. And I was like, dude, are you sure you know what you're doing? Like, this doesn't make sense. It's impossible that the car is locked at 18 degrees of timing. It should be able to pull all the way down to 8 degrees, you know. That's just a safety margin that's put into ECUs, you know, throughout all these cars. You know, you have a max table and you have a minimum table. So a minimum target table is where if the car is knocking, you know, the ECU will actually let itself pull down all the way down to, let's say, 8 degrees of timing, so it saves the motor from knocking itself to death. But we were constantly having motors just knocking themselves to death when we started building these built motor high horsepower cars. And I think we went through 5 or 6 fully built motors that were literally just failing and having issues, and we're cracking, you know, piston rings, and we're cracking the crown, and it had a bunch of detonation, and we lost so much money. We were so scared back then to not basically say like, oh, it's a modified car, like you were pushing it, whatever. And plus I was also like scared to basically not take the blame on us. We had to take the blame because I knew we were having an issue with tuning and we couldn't control this. So I think throughout that time we bought like 5 or 6 replacement motors, which cost me a lot of money. I was paying for all these motors out of my pocket. While all this was going on, Jeremy would take tuning trips to, you know, New York, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, this and that and whatever. And we were supposed to do like, I don't know, 10, 15 cars, 20 cars. And, you know, he would get paid and come back and basically when he would come back, I would look through the invoices and everything, and he would come back and he would like have 5 cars, 4 cars, 3 cars. Oh, we only did like 2 cars. We only did this. We only did that. So I was like, I started questioning it, and I'm like, dude, are you freaking like taking the money and sending it somewhere else and not depositing it into our account? Because it doesn't make sense. And he obviously got crazy and he was like, no way, I would never do that. This is a guy that we basically took in. He had no paperwork. We paid for everything to get his visa done, get him accepted into the United States. I literally transferred money to his mom to Australia so he could basically invest into a company over here and come to the United States and be able to work over here. I signed for his apartment that he was living out of under my name. Went and bought this guy a brand new C63 under my name. This guy lived out of my parents' house for the first like 6 months that he was, you know, working with me and we're building the building. He was literally living out of my parents' house. My mom was doing this guy's laundry. Like, they were treating him like their own kid, and gave him a car to drive before we bought the C63 and so on. And so I was just like catching on. I'm like, dude, something doesn't make sense. Like, all this money, we're hardly making anything, you know, I'm hardly seeing anything. So one day we take a trip to New York to go and build a supercharged car in New York out of my buddy JJ's dad's shop, which is called Low Motion. You guys, I'm sure all you East Coast guys have heard of him. You guys know JJ. JJ's a cool dude. He came and worked with us for a few years. So we go to Low Motion and we're building this car for my customer Donnie, which is still a really good friend. And we're there working late at night, just me and one of my techs. And Jeremy hadn't come out with us. He was out on a tuning trip somewhere else. And whatever, we're working late, and then his dad orders some pizza, and we're all sitting and having dinner at the shop, and we're chit-chatting. And his dad's like, you know, I'm proud of you guys. You guys are doing really good, and this and that. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, we're doing okay. You know, it's not too great, but we're doing okay. He goes, doing okay? Like, man, last time Jeremy was here, he did like 25 cars. And I was like, what? 25 cars? What are you talking about? He goes, yeah, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know anything about 25 cars. This guy brought back money for like 6 cars. And I was asking him, like, dude, you were out there for this long. Like, what the hell? You only did 6 cars, you know? And he goes, oh, yeah, I was slow. And JJ's dad, great guy. I admire that guy. He was such a nice man. He takes me into the office and sits me down and gives me a nice long talk and, you know, explains stuff to me about business and how it works with partners, on how sometimes stuff happens, and you know, we got to be aware of what's going on around us and keep our eyes open and this and that. So he sits there and he shows me all these invoices that this guy's been basically charging for and not putting into our account. Meanwhile, he's out putting like 5,000 into our account, sending 15,000 to his mom in Australia. And I guess the whole time he's been doing this, putting 5,000 in our account, 6,000 in our account, sending 10 grand to his mom, 12 grand to his mom, 20 grand to his mom. And his mom's like putting the money away in Australia. And we have no idea about this. I catch on to this and I don't open my mouth. At this point, I'm extremely frustrated because, you know, this guy's basically stealing money, going behind my back. We've literally treated this guy like family. He's blown up like 6 BMW M3 motors that I've had to pay for and replace in people's cars. I keep asking him if he could figure out what the hell is going on with the tune. He has no idea what's going on. He can't figure it out. So I'm in like this huge dilemma trying to figure out how we're gonna, you know, fix all these things and get ourselves out of it. So I basically tell him, listen, I don't trust you tuning these cars anymore. I know how an engine works. I put the engines together. I know how everything works. I need you to start teaching me how to use this software because I don't want you tuning any of my supercharged cars. I'm gonna do it myself. We're gonna start on my car. Give me the base map, give me whatever it is, give me the WinOS access. I'm gonna sit there, I'm gonna edit the file myself. I'm gonna try to figure this out myself. I don't trust you touching these cars anymore. Like, it's enough. I have him put the editor software with our licensing onto my laptop. And I'm up every single night trying to figure out how to use this thing, go through maps, trying to figure out what's going on with these cars. You know, I had played with like AEM stuff back then, standalone stuff on a couple cars, which was obviously simple. You know, it's much easier to set up that than try to find maps in a factory ECU and try to do all the stuff in the factory ECU. We didn't have all the stuff that we have now back then, all the support and the information that we obviously have now. So I was trying to teach myself how to use this thing. I kept trying to figure out this whole ignition timing thing, and I was having massive issues. So as I'm trying to teach myself how to, you know, tune these cars, I start getting phone calls from one of my buddies that lives right down the street from this guy, literally the apartment right next door. And he calls me and he's like, hey man, I got a question for you. And I'm like, what's up? He goes, what does this guy do in the parking lot until like 2 in the morning every night? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, dude, your partner, Jeremy, he goes, every night until like 1 or 2 in the morning, all these cars roll up to the apartment and they go underground to the parking lot, and you could see in the parking lot, you know, there's like gates and you could see inside. And he goes, man, they're like hanging out there until like 2 in the morning, almost like 3-4 times a week. And I'm like, bro, are you serious? Like, what the I'm like, all right, man, you gotta like literally start watching this and seeing what they're doing and record it for me and send it to me so I know what's going on. So I guess this guy, the whole time we're working at the shop, he was also working with a mutual family friend of mine, which we've put stuff in the past now and we're cool. You know what I'm talking about if you ever watch this. So I guess this guy was driving cars over from OC at night, and they were meeting up at Jeremy's apartment, and they were literally tuning cars for his shop at Jeremy's apartment at nighttime after work, and Jeremy was pocketing all the money and sending it to Australia. Goes further to find out that this guy had actually set up an office in OC out of this guy's shop and was starting to go there during the week a couple days and not showing up to work and tuning cars out of this guy's office. So I had my friend record all this stuff. I had no choice but to try to find out a way to find somebody who could teach me how to tune these cars the correct way, teach me how everything works, and so on. I sent an email to my really good friend for years now. His name is Guy Freeling. He actually makes all our little end user cables that we send out to people to be able to tune their cars. And I reached out to Guy and I said, hey Guy, there's this one guy that I keep hearing about. Everybody calls him Master Yoda. And I've been hearing about this guy for years. I've always wanted to meet him. I've always wanted to try to learn from him. And Jeremy would always talk about him. Oh, he's the best. He's the king. He knows everything. It's because of him, the aftermarket and this and that. And I was like, all right. And I would hear Guy talk about him and a bunch of other people, but he was very like secretive. Nobody knew who he really was. And I called Guy and I'm like, you have to help me, please. Like, try to find this guy, put me in touch with this guy. I need somebody to help me like figure this out. I need somebody to teach me, train me how to tune these cars and figure out all this stuff myself. This guy's cost me so much money. I got like nothing left. I'm literally at the verge of like closing the doors down if I don't basically learn how to do this myself. Guy's like, okay, let me reach out to him. Let me send an email. I'm gonna CC you on the email. Write your story, basically tell him what's going on, explain to him and see if he answers back. He goes, I can't guarantee you anything, but for you, I'm gonna do it, you know? So he sends the email, he CCs me with this guy, and I'm like, I gotta try to somehow get this guy to come help me, you know? So I write this long email, basically pouring my heart out, telling him everything I've gone through in the last, 3 years, and the fact that I'm having to constantly replace motors and having to come out of my pocket to make all these customers happy because the guy that's basically tuning for me has no idea what the hell he's doing. And I need to start doing this myself. I need to take control over it. I need to be able to tune these cars myself and not rely on anybody else. I don't want any more partners. I don't want to do any of this crap anymore. So I sent him a long message, and then he sends me a message back basically saying, okay, it's going to cost you this much to bring me out. I want a 5-star resort. I want business class seats and this and that. This is the date I could come out. That's it. Cold message, bro. Email, I'm like, damn, this guy, who the hell is this guy? So I'm like, all right, whatever you want, man. I'll get you the best hotel I can. I'll get you business class seats for 2 or whatever. I just want you to come out here. So, and I'm flying this guy down to come and help me. Meanwhile, Jeremy has no idea that I know everything at this point. We kept it very secretive. I didn't come at him with anything. I didn't tell him that I knew he was, doing business with the guy at OC, doing stuff where he's flying all over the place and putting money in his mom's bank account. So I basically just put my case together before, I approached him with anything. So I fly this guy down. I go to the airport. I pick him up, and he's just like trying to get stuff going, like talking to this guy, and he's just like cold guy, straight, like serious, you know what I mean? I laugh when I say he's so serious and all this stuff now because now he's like literally my second brother. So I go pick him up. We drop off his stuff, and we get to the shop, and Jeremy's not there because he has been in OC the night before. tuning cars out of this other guy's shop. So he hasn't showed up to work yet. And we have my E90 M3 on the dyno, and I have my WinOS set up. I open it up, and I had the file that was in the car that was having the issue with pulling the ignition timing back and so on. And I'm showing Mr. Master Yoda next to me, this is the problem. This is the file in the car. You know, this is what's happening. And he's like, give me that file. So I give him the file. He puts it on his computer and he starts going through the file, and he's like, where the hell did this guy get this file from? And I'm like, why? He goes, man, it's hilarious because there is stuff from my work in here and other companies. And he goes, this is like literally a complete mix up of like every other company from Europe to here that's making supercharger kits for this car. He goes, basically this guy's taken a read from these cars and he's taken the files and he's made them into one file, and it's like everything's all over the place. He's got changes from one guy, changes from this guy, changes from that guy. Then he has his own changes in there and all this stuff. And it's like, he goes, this thing is a complete show. And I'm like, okay, like, how are we gonna fix this? And he goes, we're gonna start from zero, from scratch, zero. I'm gonna set you up a map pack, make you a thing, and I'm gonna teach you how to use it. I'm gonna teach you how to tune this car. You're gonna tune this car today. Then I was already like trying to do it myself for like a few months, you know what I mean? So, but I could still never figure out what the hell was going on with the whole timing situation and why the motors were blowing up. And we're going through the maps, and he goes, oh my God. He goes, what was the problem you were having? And I go, you know, we started building these built motor cars, and we started, you know, raising the boost, and we're having problems controlling the timing. The timing was always locked at 19 degrees. It would never go below 19, 18, 19 degrees. He goes, you see this map over here that you have in your project that this guy has named ignition table? He goes, well, yes, this is the ignition table. But he goes, this is not an ignition table for you to be messing with. He goes, this is the minimum ignition timing table. So do you realize what is wrong in this minimum ignition timing table? And I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, I do. This guy's basically taken the lowest factor, basically was 8 degrees. The car could pull out all the way to 8 degrees ignition timing. And he's changed it thinking that it's an aim table, and he's changed it to 19 degrees. So basically the car is locked at 19 degrees ignition timing. It can never pull anything less than that. It can't go less than that. No matter if the car is, you know, got no fuel, it's pinging, overheating, whatever. The timing is completely locked at 19 degrees. We would never be able to pull it any lower than that. So I'm like, oh my God. So this is the reason this cost me 6 motors, like this stupid table, not knowing, you know, how to use it or what it is. And he goes, yeah, so basically sets up my timing table and sets up my whole map pack, and we start tuning this car. And I think the car was on the dyno, and back then it was making like, I don't know, 500 wheel or something like that, my personal car. And we started retuning this car, and as we're tuning it, we're in the dyno room. Jeremy walks in, and he walks into the, you know, the little dyno, the viewing area, and then his office is right behind it. And he walks in and he's looking like, the hell's going on in there? You know, like, who the hell is this guy sitting next to Alex? And he doesn't really say anything. He goes and sits in his office, and we're in there tuning this car, and all of a sudden the car goes from 500 to 560 wheel. We pick up 60 wheel horsepower. The ignition timing is working perfectly. The fueling is working perfectly. Everything's cool. I have everything under control. I have all the maps. I know exactly what I'm doing. Dude, I'm feeling great. You know, I'm so happy. I'm like, I got this. Like, I could finally do this myself without relying on anybody. He spends a couple more days here teaching me how to, you know, work WinOS and guiding me through it, obviously helping me out with map packs and all that stuff to set up the cars. And we're about to leave to lunch, and Jeremy walks up to me. He's like, hey, what's going on in there? And I'm like, what none of your business, dude. Like, don't worry about it. And he was like, who is that guy? I'm like, none of your business. You don't need to know who he is. And he's just trying to figure out who the hell the guy is that's trying to help me out. So I look at him, I'm like, you know, you've always dreamt of working with somebody for years and try to get information from them. I go, that's him. And he just like completely turned white. And he was like, what? How is he here? How'd you get him here? How is he here? And what are you doing? This and that. I go, listen, bro, today's the day to break it to you. Go inside your office, pack all your leave my car keys on the table, and get the out of my shop. And he was like, what? And I'm like, dude, we have everything on you. All the money you stole, all the stuff you've been doing at night, working out with this other guy in OC. We have everything. We have everything documented. We have proof of all the transfers you've had made to your mom's account. We have videos of you guys tuning cars in the middle of the night at your apartment. We have everything. So I go, look, get your stuff and just get out of here. So he's like tripping out at this point, like, oh dude, I'm screwed, you know, they got me. So we leave to lunch. Of course, this guy grabs some of his stuff and then he grabs some of my tuning tools with him and he takes off and he takes my C63 with him. We basically try to find him for like almost 2 months. So I guess he books it, goes and is living in OC now out of this guy's shop that he's working with, tuning for this guy. We try to go find him over there. We can't find him. I'm trying to get my car back. He's hidden my car. We have no idea where my C63 is. He's basically now not paying the rent on the apartment that's under my name. So we're starting to have to pay for that. We're paying for the monthly payments on the C63 and we can't get a hold of this guy. So he's changed his phone number, so on. Nobody wants to tell us where the hell he is. So one day we get a phone call from my buddy. It's like 1 in the afternoon and he goes, man, I swear to God, I think I just heard this guy pull up into the street to go to the apartment. I'm like, no, bro, you go down there right now and check if he's there. So my buddy runs down, he looks and he sees him pulling into the parking lot. So he goes, dude, he's here. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is it, let's go. So me and my buddy Brian, which used to be a tech at our shop for years, which is like a family member now, we jump in the car. I call these friends of mine that do car repos and I'm like, bro, where are you guys? And he's like, oh, we're like right around your shop. I'm like, dude, I need you to do me a favor right now. And they're like, what's up? I got to repo my C63. He's like, what the hell are you talking about? I go, this guy just showed up after 2 months. He's at the apartment. He parked the car. The car's inside. I need you to go pull that car out of that parking lot and repo it. He's like, all right, we're on the way. These guys go there. And I guess with our luck, his parking lot had a gate, but it was trash day. So the trash guy was there picking up the trash and the gate was open. So my boys roll up with their tow truck and they look and they go, the gate's open. So they roll inside, go reverse up to the car, grab the car strap and pull it out. And me and Brian roll up at the same time while they're pulling the car out of the parking lot. And basically Jeremy comes downstairs and he's like, oh, my car. And I jump out of the car and I'm like, hey bro, this ain't your car and you're done. We get into it pretty bad. Everybody got involved, cops, mops, this and that. And then basically I told them don't ever come anywhere close to us. And then after that, we filed a lawsuit against him because we had all the proof of all this money he had stolen and all that stuff. That lawsuit ended up costing me like almost 60 grand with lawyers. We got a $290,000 judgment against him, which we haven't collected 1 penny on till this day because he filed bankruptcy. I guess you could come into the US and screw people as a non-US citizen and then just bounce to your own country and get away with everything. So this guy literally screwed us for over $350,000. I have a $290,000 judgment against him. We never got a penny out of it. And now he's in Australia making tacos or something. I don't know if he really is in Australia. I guess he opened a restaurant in Australia or something and he makes tacos. I think OE Tuning is still in business. He does business under OE Tuning. So, hey guys, if you guys are buying anything from OE Tuning, please don't. You're buying from a scammer. That was the story with my number 2J. We started tuning all the cars ourselves. We were the first ones to do like E85 files for these M3s and M6s and so on. We started putting bigger blowers on them, built motors. You know, we made like 800 wheel horsepower. We made 980 wheel horsepower on a M6 V10 before we maxed out the blower. We were doing really good. We had the fastest cars out there, fastest 60 to 130s, fastest half mile. When we were building really, really cool stuff. But the engine for those cars was a nightmare. The block was trash. They were actually made in 3 different foundries. They had like impurities in the casting. And when you started to make a lot of power, it would literally, if you tried to put studs in the heads, it would try to lift the head and it would crack the block. And then you'll have coolant spraying out from the valley of the block. So we went through hell with those motors. We literally tried to design everything to try to make it strong and try to make big power. I even went as far as being stupid enough to waste time and develop a twin turbo kit for that car because everybody said that it wasn't possible to do. And I was so cocky and arrogant at that point, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. So we basically pulled the motor in and out of the car I don't know how many times to build a turbo kit for these cars. We succeeded. We made a turbo kit for it. We probably built like 4 or 5 of those cars. I just wasn't happy with the market. I wasn't happy with where everything was going with those BMWs, I decided it was time. I just wanted to pull out of it and just basically change the entire aspect of the company. Just like previously when we had that problem with Drew's car with the bearings and we were blamed for it because of our supercharger, even though it had nothing to do with it. I just had a really bad taste in my mouth. Back then we were also racing Time Attack with Paul Walker's car. It was also around the same time as Drew's whole situation went down with this motor. And on our last race during the Time Attack thing, we pulled the car off the track and I could hear a bit of ticking coming out of the motor, and I basically told the guys to shut it down, don't run the car anymore, we got to take it to the shop and take it apart. We took that car to the shop, we pulled the motor apart, and if you guys actually ever search it, like I think in 2010 or something like that, or 2009, we have a video on YouTube. I'm like really young back then, and I basically have Paul Walker's motor completely apart on a table, and I'm trying to explain to everybody like the bearing situation with these S65s and S85 motors. And back then people used to laugh at us, you know, they were like, oh, you guys are just trying to use it as an excuse to, you know, not blame it on your supercharger kit, you know, messing up the rods and this and that. And I'm like, man, this has nothing to do with our supercharger kit. And we made this whole video about it, and we're like, these cars are gonna have massive bearing issues. I mean, I don't care if it's a stock car, I don't care if it's a supercharged car, whatever it is, BMW is gonna have a big time problem with these bearings because the tolerances were like unbelievably tight. The car had oil starvation really bad. It had really bad sloshing problems from the oil pan. You know, we were just getting blamed for all this. And back then when, you know, rods were flying out the side of the blocks of these cars because of problems with the bearings, we were so scared to mess up our name that we were literally just buying people motors so we don't mess up, you know, our reputation. And, you know, we were just like covering all this. But after a while, we put that video up and everybody was like, oh no, you guys are trying to cover up for yourselves. And then all of a sudden, all these cars just started dropping like flies left and right. People were just dropping rods on the middle of the freeway, on the middle of the streets, holes and blocks everywhere. And all of a sudden people became bearing experts and they started making bearings for them and doing all this stuff. Meanwhile, years before, we had already told them like, this is a huge problem with this car. Nobody wanted to listen to us until, you know, everybody's cars started dropping like flies. And now everybody's a bearing professional and they make all kinds of new bearings with different tolerances and all this different stuff that we used to tell people to do, and people would laugh at us. We went through all that stuff with these motors. I went through sleeving these blocks, trying to make them stronger. Meanwhile, learned that, you know, sleeving this block was actually weakening it instead of making it stronger, because when we used to go to machine the block out and put the sleeve in, the backing material that was left in the block was so thin. What was happening is when these things were getting hot, the back base material was cracking and it was dropping sleeves. So we were having all kinds of sleeve issues. We're obviously having all the cracking issues because of the casting in the block. It wasn't strong and there was so many impurities in the casting. There's a part in the block on these cars that has a boss that sticks out, that one of the chain rails that bolts to it, and the chain runs on it for the head, for the bonus units and all that stuff. And it's got a boss that sticks out of the block for that. And these castings were so bad in these motors that on some of the motors we would go in there to try to put the screw in to that boss so it could hold the chainrail, and as we were putting the screw in, that boss would literally crack off and fall, and we would look behind it and it would just literally still be sand, like porous sand in the casting. Like the casting was so dirty and it wasn't nice that there was impurities in the casting and it would just break off, so we would have to like weld it back in and refix it and do all this stuff. So yeah, we made the turbo kits for them, which was a whole nother crazy thing. We built 5 of those. They were too expensive, people didn't want to pay for it. And then we started doing a bunch of stock motor E85 big power stuff, you know, making 700 wheel on stock motors on the V8 M3s, making 800 wheel on the M5s on stock motors. I was having fun doing it, but you know, our competitors were selling kits for a lot cheaper than we were. Obviously, you couldn't compare our kit to their kit. Back then, when people used to buy our kit, call to buy our kit, they would be like, oh, but ESS sells it for this much, and BF sells it for this much, and Active sells it for this much, and you guys are like $4,000 more. And we would try to explain to them, like, just because it's a supercharger kit doesn't mean every kit is equal. You know, we use a different blower. We use different bracketry. They use all the factory pulleys. We don't. We make a whole drive system for our supercharger kits. Our intercooler cores are a lot bigger than theirs. Our plenums are made completely different. The blow-off valves we use, the brand of stuff we use, the hoses, the fittings, all that adds on, you know what I mean? Like, we never used push-on hoses and with a clamp, you know, everything was all AN fittings. We used all custom Bell intercooler air to liquid cores that were made was like double the size of ESS's kits. That's why our kits never had heat soaking issues, just like everybody else's has. Now a lot of people are like, damn man, I wish we bought your kits back then instead of buying what we bought. We're putting a lot of time and money into making our kits like overly built, trying to make them, you know, bad. We're more expensive than everybody else. It came down to a point where, you know, the cost played a huge role. They were selling a lot more kits than us. With all the problems with these engines and failures, I was sick and tired of doing them, you know. I just wanted to move on and do something different. I was traveling a lot back then, going to Dubai, China, and this and that. And when I was out there, I was tuning a lot of exotics. We were doing a lot of Ferraris and Lambos and stuff like that. So I was always had a dream as a kid to build Lamborghinis and Ferraris and stuff. So I always wanted to get into that. But the problem is with the market in the US, you know, it's not like going to China or Abu Dhabi or Dubai and tuning, you know, people's cars over there. Over here, if you don't own the car, nobody trusts you with their cars. And I was, you know, wanting to get into that market. And I realized that, you know, these M3s and M5s, M6s and stuff like that, they're not going to get me where I want to be. I was literally discussing with my guys, my brother, my best friend Ruben, that, you know, has taught me everything I basically know when it comes down to tuning. And I was telling them like, hey dude, we got to stop working on these cars. I'm ready to call it quits. Like, I'm not even gonna sell any more supercharger kits. I want to move into doing exotics, move into doing more tuning, more exhaust systems and stuff like that. I decided that's it, it's done. We're not doing this BMW stuff anymore. It was like cold turkey, man. We went from having like, we still probably have 10, 15 kits on the shelves, just sitting there. I mean, we have castings, we have everything. I just walked into the shop one day, I looked at the guys and I was like, we're done, dude. Don't sell anymore. Anybody calls, they want to buy a supercharger kit, they want to buy anything for a supercharger kit, turbo kit for an M5, M6, tell them we don't sell it anymore. We just closed the book. That's it. And we moved on, man. That's what started what basically Gintani is today.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the new shop. Come on in. Let's give you guys a little bit of a teaser. We're not gonna obviously show everything, plus everything's not done yet. To everybody who's waiting for a product and for us to work on your cars, trust me, we're trying to go as fast as possible. Moving is not easy at all. This last week has been torturous for every single one of us, me, my guys. We're all doing our best, so please just stay patient with us while we're trying to get all your products done and all your stuff shipped out. We're gonna get on it, I promise. Hopefully by the mid next week, we'll be fully operational. As you guys can see behind me, the waiting room area is completely empty. We haven't even focused on putting any of the furniture in or anything like that. Our main focus is to get the cars going and get the production going for the exhaust systems and so on. Trying to finish the dyno room so we can get a couple cars that we have here on the dyno. Over here will be our like smart lounge kind of setup area. We're gonna use this place for customers to come and hang out. We'll have a simulator hopefully over there for people to sit down and play while they're waiting. We're building a back table in the middle over there that's gonna have a V12 6.5 liter Aventador engine sticking out of the glass. 4 seats. We'll have a full wet bar so you guys can enjoy some drinks if you want, some espresso, hang out. We're gonna have a big island over here in the middle where we will take all your orders. We'll have a big whiteboard over here where we could go over all the options for your builds, sit down with you, basically go through everything in the list, write down everything, look at all the options. We have TVs everywhere so we could connect our laptops to it, so we could basically do a full build out with if it's wheels, suspension, body kit, whatever it is. At this place, we're gonna be able to do all of that. Now we have the space. We're gonna be doing a lot more service, maintenance, repair stuff for all the exotic cars. We've done everything we can to make this place like a science lab. So it's gonna be beautiful, always clean. Your cars will be in good hands, and we're gonna try to make this very fun and something that you guys could enjoy when you come here. We'll have cars and coffee on the weekends and so on. You know, nothing's really been cleaned yet. We still gotta clean all the glass and everything. We got people coming on Sunday to clean up the floors. This will be the lounge. You guys could chill out and
Obviously, you'll be able to look inside the shop while you're hanging out over here. This is not for employees. The only time we will be using this area is when we're doing a project. We have a project build. We will come in here with the guys, go over some of the work that we need to do to the car and plan the project, which with wheels and stuff we're gonna be doing. We have a nice whiteboard that's coming in for our projects and stuff, so we'll sit down with the guys and discuss everything. Over here we have a private bathroom for our customers, only customers, not for employees, not for anybody else. It's not fully done yet, but you guys can see, nice, clean. And then up here is where we lead up to my office and a couple of the other guys' offices. We have a door that separates this whole downstairs from the upstairs, so nobody could just come up here and just run into our offices. That's not gonna happen. On this side, we have a little sales. We got a sales office over here for the sales guys. NJ's office over here, which is the only one that actually has some furniture in there, even though we ordered the wrong chair. We got to change that. We're just building some stuff in there right now, some cabinets and stuff, but this office is actually going to be for my brother. Nice big office. We're going to get him a really nice table, nice furniture. We got our patio over here where we could obviously just chill out, look over the shop, make sure everybody's working. It's also a nice place to just look at all the beautiful cars that are getting worked on and come around here. And this, guys, is my dream office. This is an office that I've always wanted. I always wanted an office that was all glass and overlooking the shop where I could keep my eyes on everybody, keep my eyes on the projects, make sure the guys are working, make sure everything's going right. Obviously, it's echoing like crazy in here right now because we got no furniture. But again, the first thing for us and the most important thing for us to get is to get the shop going. We could do all this later, which we're actually working on. This has been a dream for me to have an office like this and build a modern shop. That's basically what we wanted. We wanted to make this like a dealership, but very cool inside, very modern, very techy. We'll show you guys a little bit more later on once everything's cleaned up. Everybody was asking for a little quick update of the shop and what it looks like. I hope you guys like it. Took a lot to do this.
Hey, what's up, guys? We're doing things a little different today because trying to find time to be able to record these in the middle of moving the shop. I got my boy here, Adam. Lakimi is his Instagram. Go check it out. He's probably the top artist in the world right now, and I'm lucky enough to have him over here. In November 2017 was when I bought my first exotic. I wanted to get into Lamborghinis, McLarens, Ferraris. I used to go and travel to Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and China and so on. When you usually go to countries like that, you come in as a tuner. The people there respect you because you're a tuner. They don't really look at you as what you have or what you drive or whatever it is. But in the US market, trying to go to these shows and trying to work on cars that were a lot more expensive than the cars that we were driving was a very, very hard thing to do, because a lot of people don't want to trust some guy who is just driving a regular car and asking you to work on their high-end exotic. I had bought a lot of BMWs, really nice BMWs, M8s, M6s, M4s, M3s, all kinds of stuff, but I never had enough credit for high-end auto. I mean, some of these cars were 100-something plus thousand, but getting into Ferraris and Lamborghinis and stuff, you're talking about $300,000 over. So I needed some kind of backing for them to be able to let me get a Lamborghini. So I basically, again, asked my father if he could help me. At this point, the Gintani was doing pretty good, and I had put a good amount of money on the side. But I kept telling my dad, like, I want to change the whole perception of the company and get away from all this stuff. And in order to do that, I would need to get an exotic. And the first time I told him that, he looked at me and he was like, who the hell are you to drive a Lamborghini? I'm at this age, I've never driven a Lamborghini in my life, and you're gonna go buy a Lamborghini at this age? And I'm like, listen, Dad, it's not about me having a Lamborghini or owning a Lamborghini. It's about changing the business. And all I need you to do for me is co-sign, because they wouldn't let me get it. You need to have high-end auto to be able to get these cars. So I basically told him, here, listen, I'll put this much down, which was like $50,000 at that time. And the payments would be like $2,500 a month or something at that point. I told him, I'll give you 6 months payments up front. And if you don't see this going anywhere, you could literally take the car, keep the payments, keep the down payment, and sell the car and just take the money from it. So basically, before I even decided to, get into the exotic thing, we never had an exotic at home. We had a bunch of M3s, M8s, this, that. We had a Aston Martin, the Vantage that I told you guys about, and we had our minis and stuff, but we never had a Lambo. We never had a Ferrari or anything like that. So, me being the youngest in the family and going out to buy, a Lamborghini was like, dude, what the hell? So we bought a Rosso Mars Red LP610 Huracan. Who's calling me? Drew Johnson. Hello.
Alex,
Yo.
I just want you to know there was never any hard feelings, and I would never blame you for being mad at me or angry at me for
I'm
that.
not,
That
bro.
was a long.
I don't
like,
hold grudges with like that, bro. Trust me.
Dude, what matters is now.
We all live and learn, right? Everything changes. It's all good, man.
Dude, I wanted to tell you, Alex, dude, you always had a good heart. You're a good dude.
You got to come see the new shop, man.
Yeah, dude, I'll stop by and check it out. I mean, my son is really into cars.
Yeah,
he'd love to come by. He's brought you guys up. He's like, Dad, Gintani, you see their website, their Instagram stuff? These cars are amazing. I'm like, yeah, I know those guys. It'd be great to come by and see the shop, bro.
Yeah, we're moving everything right now, so in a few weeks we'll be settled down. So whenever you want, hit me up. We're gonna have a huge grand opening, but that's gonna be in June.
I'm real happy for you, man.
Well, let's put something together. Maybe we could all go out and have some drinks or something and chill out.
Sounds good, broski.
Okay, brother. Nice talking to you. Thank you for calling me, man. It means a lot.
I do say hi to your brother for me.
I will, bro. I will. Thank you so much. Thanks for calling, man. I'll see you soon. Thank you, bro.
See you, brother.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That was Drew Johnson. That was the guy who put us on the map for the BMW stuff and then switched over to ESS. But, life's too short. Happens. You just learn from it and you move on and appreciate what you've gone through. And that's like mad respect for Drew to even do that or even make a phone call like that. So I love you, Drew. You're still in my heart. We just had a little touch-up session, but we still got a lot more stuff to do. But obviously you guys have seen this stuff in the video previously, but that's my grandfather. That's the rest of the stuff that we just did. This is a famous, it was the most famous church in Armenia. This is a clock that I had done, a few years ago, which Adam's fixing. Up here is an old tattoo that nobody would help me redo or fix except for Adam. All right, so now that Adam's gone and he touched up some of my stuff that I needed, let's continue. We were talking about buying the Huracan. Buying the Huracan was an extremely, extremely exciting time for all of us at the shop. The second we got it, we took it apart. We wanted to finalize making a production kit for the twin turbo stuff. We had made a twin turbo kit on my buddy's car, my buddy Sabi's car, and that car was one of the first cars that actually went and ran some good half-mile traps at shift sector. It was tuned on a factory ECU. We're making like 8 PSI or 9 PSI back then on that car. We trapped 194 miles per hour at shift sector for a factory ECU car. That basically opened up our avenue to be able to work on these exotics, to be able to go to shows, attend shows, cars and coffees, and be able to mingle with people that actually own these cars. It's hard to mingle with guys who own these cars when you don't have one, especially when you're trying to, do work for them. They kind of like don't trust you until they see that you've actually had your own car and you've developed stuff on it. And it makes the customer feel a lot more comfortable that you've actually played with your own car and developed stuff on it before they let you touch theirs. So that car changed everything for us. We started getting a lot more exotics in to tune, to build exhaust systems for. We started building exhaust systems for Lambos, McLarens, started doing a lot of Porsche stuff. We tuned a lot of McLaren stuff. Right after we had the Huracan, my LP610, we had gotten it ready to send it to SEMA show. Right before SEMA show, we did the bumpers, the fenders, and the wheels, and we put the kit on it, and we were so excited it was gonna be like presented at SEMA at my buddy's booth at BD Wheels. Eric took the car to SEMA. At that time, my wife had just given birth to my son, so I couldn't attend SEMA. My car was there. We basically took it to SEMA. The car got a lot of attention, and we're getting ready to start making a production kit for the twin turbo.
and we get the car back from SEMA, and we're at home with my wife one morning. It's like 7 a.m. and my buddy calls me and he's like, we're going on this drive, you know, come hang out with us. And it had been weeks since I had left the house and done anything like that. So my wife's like, dude, leave, like go enjoy your time with your friends, go have some fun with the car. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I get up 7 a.m., man, start the car. I'm all excited. This is like the first time I'm actually driving the car. So jump in the car, get out of our condo back then, make a right onto Nordhoff Street in Northridge, and literally there's like fog everywhere. It's like horrible weather. I have no gas. The car's on E85, so I need to try to make it to the nearest E85 station. So I'm just like cruising down Nordhoff and driving, and all of a sudden, dude, some lady in a Honda CR-V decides she's gonna make a U-turn from in front of her house to the other side of the street without even looking, not even seeing that I'm there. So she literally just pops out in front of me, and I slam on the brakes trying to stop, but it's impossible. Like the floor's already all like moist. So the car locks up, and I'm like, man, I don't want to, you know, T-bone this lady from underneath. So I try to shift the car to the left, try to throw the car to the left, and boom, straight into this lady, you know? And man, I was so pissed off and I was so hurt. It was like my first exotic just got demolished. And I get out of the car, and I was ready to just, you know, I could only see red. I had like blinders on, and I run up to this car. I have no idea who's in there, you know, and I run up to this car and I open the door, and I'm like, mother, and I look, and it's some old lady in there, and she's like, oh my God, I didn't see you. You know, I didn't have my glasses on. And I'm like, dude, why the hell are you driving without glasses if you can't see? You know what I mean? I was like, you almost killed me. If I went underneath your car, I would have, like, it was gonna take my freaking head off. The cops come, it's chaos, my car's destroyed. We have pictures of this, so we'll drop some pictures of this so you guys can see it, my poor car. And I was so sad, man. It was like our first car that we were gonna develop all this stuff on, go into production with the twin turbo kit. Everything got put on hold for our production stuff for the twin turbo kit. So we went through the whole insurance process. I decided, I'm like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't get another Huracan, because at this point, the Huracan market was like, you know, getting flooded. There was a lot of companies doing twin turbo kits for Huracans, and you know, we had Sheepy up the street from us, and they were doing pretty well with them. They had a lot of clientele, so it was like gonna be hard for us to actually compete with all this stuff. You know, obviously you have Underground, which are the kings of those cars, and it's just a big flooded market now, especially till this day. Even though we do make a kit for it, and we do build them for, you know, specific clients that want us to build their twin turbo setups for those cars, I decided, you know what, maybe we get something different. And that's when we decided to go get the 720S. The day we bought the 720S, I bought a spare motor for the car because I knew we were gonna blow it up. I was ready to send that car. I wanted to make a lot of power, you know, and I knew there was gonna be issues, just like any car when you're taking it and modifying it on factory internals, you know, bump into stuff that's the weekend, and you wanna, you know, make it stronger and create new products to be able to make the power you want to make. So we bought the 720, we bought a motor, we brought the 720 in, you know, developed an exhaust system for it, did some intercoolers for it, started putting bigger turbos on it. While we were doing that, we took the motor apart, looked at all the stuff that we see that we could make, you know, improve. We started tuning a lot of 720s at that point, and we were doing great with that market. And then we took the motor, and with my buddy Marco from Magnus Motorsports, I'm sure you guys see it in our, you know, stories and stuff like that. The only person I trust to actually assemble the motors that we build is Marco. That's the only person I want to touch it. His nasty Italian fingers, drinking coffee, eating salami while he's putting these motors together. You know it's gonna come out top notch. So Marco's our number one go-to. We developed a bunch of stuff for the McLarens with Marco. So if you guys have a McLaren, I know we don't advertise it too much, which we will when we get into the new shop. We have a lot of product for the McLaren. So we did 3 different designs of rods, different designs of pistons. We did cranks. We actually scanned the entire block, and we're thinking about doing a fully billet block for these cars, because people have been putting rods through the block on these cars, and you can't buy just a block from McLaren, and you can't just buy main bearings and, you know, rod bearings and stuff like that. The only thing that McLaren will sell you for a 720 is a head bolts,
and basically head gaskets. If you want to try to buy any other internals from them, they won't sell it. So even when we went to start building the motors on these cars, we had to pay a bunch of companies to make rod bearings for us, main bearings for us, which cost a lot of money because we had to put a huge order in. So we built a lot of parts for it, and we have a lot of parts in stock. We even have core engines basically now, so where if you do put an order in with us for a built motor setup, you could drive around on your motor while we're building the built motor, and then once your car comes in, we literally take your motor out, we use it as a core, and we put it in, so you don't have that downtime with your car. So that's something we're focusing on doing with a bunch of the cars. So we focused on the 720 stuff for a while. It was pretty fun, and we're still, you know, gonna be building a lot of stuff for that. You guys know we built Damon's 720 GTR, which that car is pretty sick. You know, that car made 1,300 wheel horsepower. It's a lot of fun to drive. 720s are extremely fast, extremely light, and you don't need too much power to make them, you know, do the times that they actually put down. Being able to do, you know, parts for all these cool cars, my dream car was always an Aventador. I just loved the look of the car, the presence. You know, an Aventador has been around for a very long time. But even when you see an Aventador on the street today, there isn't really a lot of cars out there that has the presence of an Aventador. An Aventador, when it comes down the street, especially if it's black, it's scary, you know what I mean? It's like the Batmobile coming towards you. It's such a sick car. And that 6.5 liter V12 naturally aspirated, just something about that gigantic motor, you know, there's no replacement for displacement. So can you imagine what you could do power-wise for that car and how much fun you could have with it? So I was constantly telling the guys, like, dude, we need to try to find a way to get a Aventador. So when everything started, you know, going downhill and COVID hit and all that crap happened and everybody was scared to, you know, have expensive stuff, and people were too busy buying toilet paper and paper towel and stacking up their houses, we were in the middle of trying to go on and buy every single car we possibly can. So we actually, when everything happened and people were going crazy, I remember my friends were like running to the store, buying like cat food, buying all this stuff. I'm like, dude, what are you guys tripping on? And they're like, dude, where are you going? And I'm like, I'm on my way to Palm Springs to pick up a 600 LT McLaren. And they're like, what the hell is wrong with you, dude? Like, people are scared, like the world is over this, you know, virus, and you're going to pick up a 600 LT McLaren for the shop. And I'm like, yeah, man, when the hell in the world are you ever going to buy a $300,000 car for $2,500 down, $2,200 a month? You know what I mean? So they're like, hell yeah, we're going to buy a McLaren, and we're going to buy an Aventador. This is like the best time to buy one. So I called my buddy Donnie from Iluso, which Donnie's always helped me out with all my cars. And I'm like, dude, I need an Aventador. And he's like, dude, I got the best one. And I'm like, I want an SV black. He's like, you couldn't tell me this like 2 weeks before? We just shipped the car back to Florida. We had it over here. And I'm like, dude, that's the car. I want that car. And the car was listed for like $450,000 or something like that, which was cheap. The car had, I think, 1,100 miles on it or something when I went to go buy it. And obviously Donnie pulled off his magic, and I don't know how we got the car for $400,000. Our other good friend, which is an NFL player, bad guy, Frank Clark, used to play for KC and so on. Frank sends us his SVJ, and he's like, you got to make this thing rip. You got to make it scream. And, you know, we were making exhaust systems for the Aventadors back then, but we still hadn't done like that real F1 sound. So we were always watching the guys from Japan doing that, which those guys are 100% the ones who started all that. Yes, they started that whole F1 sound. Japan was the first to do it. We know that. We get like hammered with that nonstop. You guys didn't do it? Yeah, we know we didn't do it, dude. We heard them do it. We fell in love with it. And we're like, dude, we got to bring this into US. So we used to look at the Brilliance exhaust and listen to it, and it was unbelievable. And that's what basically made me fall in love with the Aventador, was that system. And I was like, man, we got to do our own, and we got to change it up a little bit. Everybody thinks that it's just in the rear section where the X is, where the sound comes from. That's not true. If you guys look at all the systems out there now, a lot of people use that, you know, design to make the same sound, but it doesn't only come down to that part to make that system sound like that. It's very important to make the system equal length, because it's not equal length from the factory. When we got ours and we had Frank's car in,
we basically had pulled the headers out and we measured the volume in each header. So we took a lot of time to try to make sure that we make everything literally perfectly equal length. So if you look at some of the other stuff that are on the market and then you look at ours, if you look at the header extensions and you put them next to each other, obviously it's a little hard to see ours because we Inconel heat shield every single one, but you'll see that ours doesn't just have like a little bend to extend it. It's got like a complete twist. We've measured out, you know, how much longer one side has to be than the other to actually balance everything out. Also, we spent a lot of time on sizing and the way that we designed the collector, how it merges together. A lot of people just take a pipe and take 2 pipes and they just stick it into a 3-inch pipe. That doesn't really flow well. So we did a lot of designing, testing to make sure that system flows perfectly, and also not oversizing the system, because when you're doing these systems on these cars, you're taking away a lot of back pressure. And the 6.5 liter doesn't really make low end power. It's very, you know, laggy on the bottom end. And when you take all that back pressure away from it, it actually makes it even worse. So if you don't size everything correctly, the car will end up being slower on the bottom end than it is from factory. So we messed with a bunch of different sizes to be able to keep and actually add to that low end and mid-range power and to not lose any of it. And then obviously make all the power up top where the car shines with the big motor. We're probably the first ones in the US to make a system like that. Our system doesn't sound exactly the same as the Brilliant system. There's a different tone between both of them, and that's because of the way we do our header extensions. It's not exactly the same. They are very similar, and now there are systems out there that sound similar to ours too. But at the end of the day, it's not only about sound, it's about the performance of the product and how it works. So we started selling the living out of those systems. The Aventador is what put us on the map and has brought us where we are today. We decided that we were going to twin turbo it and build a crazy kit for it. I put a lot of time into the twin turbo kit for the Aventador. I wanted it to be very different than anything else on the market. Obviously, there isn't a lot of competition in the Aventador twin turbo platform. It's basically us and Underground. Underground has been around for years. I mean, obviously they've been the kings of the Lamborghini game, but doesn't mean that there's no room for somebody else to be able to come in and do stuff. So we went and started developing a bunch of stuff for the Aventador, from engine internals to different clutches for different levels of power. Now we've actually broken a transmission on one of the cars and literally destroyed a second gear out of it because of the amount of power that we're making. And the only people right now that actually have a gear set for an Aventador is Underground. Obviously, it's proprietary to them, so they use it on their stuff, which I fully understand. It's actually pretty cool that they keep it that way because it doesn't turn into the V10 platform. When it comes down to an Aventador, it's not like that. You know, we have to do everything from scratch. We're basically one of the only companies who do those cars. So we thought it would be a much better idea to concentrate on that platform, that car, and try to push it as far as we can. And that's what we're on the verge of doing with the new shop and where the company is going today. We also have our Revolto that actually just got onto the ship this last week, and it should hopefully be here in 6 weeks. So the first thing we're gonna do the second we get that car, I'll probably take it up and down the street, record a video for you guys so you guys see it. It is the exact copy, like twin of our SVJ, Nero Nemesis, black and red interior. We're like so thrilled to get that car. We can't wait to get our hands on it. Obviously the V12 is still in there. It's got the hybrid, 1,000 horsepower from factory. We just can't wait to build the F1 system for for one of those and get them out there for all our customers that have been constantly DMing us and emailing us waiting for the system, because there's a lot of guys who are getting their cars. And the second we develop the exhaust system for that car, instantly we're pulling it apart and twin turboing it. So again, our main focus with the company, I think moving forward, is going to be the Aventador stuff, the Revolto stuff. We are doing some pretty cool stuff for the Porsche 992. We are going to get back into doing a lot of stuff for the McLaren. We're actually going to take my McLaren, my 720S, and hopefully build it for the shop in New York. So Gintani, New York, we have a lot of changes coming
for that place, and we'll obviously announce it. You know, we're growing in very many ways in these last, you know, few months, with the new shop, with New York, with hopefully setting up a shop in Dubai and a couple other places. But we're gonna be doing the 720 for the New York shop, so we'll have a car out there that we could go to the Pocono races with and come and show you guys what we could do. We'll have a car that representing the New York shop, since we haven't had anything over there. We have big management changes over there, ownership changes over there that are coming, and we have a lot of projects lined up at the new shop, guys. They're literally on the lift. All of them are on the lift right now. We're just moving all the tools. We got 4 Aventadors lined up next to each other getting twin turboed. We got 2 992 Turbo S's getting built. We have the 720. We're redoing the RWB finally, so we're gonna shoot a huge thing on the RWB. We're putting a turbo motor into that thing. So obviously I can't forget about my boys Damon and Dave from DDE. Those guys have done a lot for us. So we started working with them maybe like 5 or plus years ago.
It was probably 4 or 5 years ago, and Alex is such a character. I wasn't really sure what to think of him, to be honest with you. He was kind of scary.
You know, Alex is just a good guy. He's a family guy. I really respect that.
We work with a lot of people in the industry, and it's always face value, but Alex is the one guy we've gone out, had dinners with him, we've met his family, been to his house. He's a really good guy. He works really hard. He's always got 500 things on his mind, running around, stressed about something, like always.
The first car that we did anything on was actually the F12. We put an exhaust system on there and then tuned it for them, and then we did Dave's McLaren and then helped them, you know, fix all the stuff on the F12 now that they've destroyed that car and ripped it apart, and they're making it a bad freaking Gymkhana nasty drift car that Mike is going ham on, which is bad. I wish we had time, then we could have done something like that for them, but Mike's got it under control. I think he knows what he's doing.
We brought Dave's MP412C to Alex, my Aventador SVJ to Alex. He makes an amazing system for that car and tuned it. My manual Murcielago, he helped do like a version 2 on my twin turbo F12 project. Got that car to actually be a lot more drivable on the street and should be really theatrical with like the flame tune and stuff like that. He also worked on Dave's 6M5LT, currently working on my Senna over my shoulder. We trust Alex with the projects that we've brought him, and for the most part, you know, we've never had any issues. Like, that's why we love Alex, and both from a business and a personal perspective.
Those guys really helped us a lot with the Aventador stuff. Damon put that car all over the place. They took it to Gumball, you know, always tagging us and putting the word out there, sending customers to us and helping us out. Obviously, relationship goes both ways. You know, a lot of people always say, oh, you guys, how do you guys deal with it? And, well, you guys probably give everything for free. That's all bull. Damon respects the fact that we have a business, we have a family, just like he has and what he does for a living on YouTube. Always takes care of us. We build a lot of cool stuff together. The 720 was a great build, which we're bringing back after, you know, what happened to it. Saya Creative Bespoke is almost done putting like 10,000 hours into trying to make the body kit fit. I was just there last week, which it's coming out pretty nice. You guys are gonna be excited. I know there's a lot of DDE fans that watch our channel, thanks to the DDE guys. Look forward to that. That car's gonna be cool. We're gonna go through it and make sure everything's okay. Obviously, we still have the SVJ to build. We're gonna twin turbo that at the new shop. And I'm sure, you know, me, Damon, and Dave will come up with some dumb to do.
Outside of all of this, you know, the business side of things, Alex and myself really get along because, again, we're both married, kids, family guys. We love to go to work, but we also love to go home and be with our families. And so I've had the opportunity of going over to Alex's house, you know, meeting his wife and his son, and things like that. And we've had a great time just hanging out, shooting about cars, but also like we both like tequila.
Hell yes.
Alex has some really premium tequila. And so he's introduced me to some really good tequila, and we've had some great conversations.
It's hard because everyone's busy, but when we do get together, it's always really fun. And Alex is like, he gets our humor, because Damon and I talk a lot of.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this episode of Gintani. It's basically DDE watered down with worse hosts and characters. Content we did 3 years ago. Oh, I was at the burner doing donuts, how original.
Peace out. And Alex gets right into it. Sometimes he can't read it, and I can see in his eyes he's being serious, so I push him harder. You can watch his head explode, but he's a really good sport.
Put it on for your birthday. I want to look at it first. Come on. Oh, come on, man. Put it on. Just put it on, man.
It's extra small.
Come on, put it on. Come on, you'll fit it.
It's fun to be with the boys and like shoot. It's all just for fun. The future of DD and Gintani collabs are unlimited. We're here to support Alex, and I know Alex supports us. It's gonna get wilder and crazier because as the both of us have grown, we're both getting to places where we're starting to achieve and check all those boxes of having all the things we've ever dreamed of. And when we put those two things together, because we have so many things that are in alignment, he has a shop that does things that our shop will never do, that we can come and do things together to blow people's minds. And we have a place where Alex can come and let loose with his cars because we know Alex likes to slay tires and do all sorts of dumb crazy. It's gonna be one hell of an exciting future between his crazy cars, our crazy cars, and our two shops coming in together. It's gonna be some of the wildest content. I think we're gonna honestly take things to a whole nother level on the internet.
I'm going to the block. I gotta go there. I gotta take the 812 there and go destroy the tires before I get rid of that car because it's going up for sale. We gotta do one last send and get a nice video. Damien loves that car. The V12 sound screaming over there. So thanks a lot, Damien, Dave. I love you guys. I know everybody enjoys our shenanigans on videos, so hopefully we could continue to do that. Thank you for always supporting me and believing in my company, man. It really means a lot to me.
Congratulations on all your success. I love you, I appreciate you. I want our friendship to be one that's around till the end of my time. And let's just keep doing some more crazy together. Flame tunes till we die, brother. And I always got your back. If you ever need anything, I'm the guy you call in the middle of the night. I'll ask no questions, even if it involves going to hurt some people.
Hey Alex, I just want to say I really appreciate this humble ego project of yours for your documentary on yourself that you produced yourself. One day I'll probably have the balls to do it for myself. For me, it feels really unnatural to be that arrogant, but for you, I get it with the gold and all the jewelry and all that.
What did you say?
But yeah, no, it's cool that you produce your own documentary on yourself. It's what they do for celebrities too. Like when yeah, I just want to say, Alex, I appreciate everything you've done for us over the years. You know, we asked for a lot. It's a lot of high pressure. And as a thank you, on March 15th, we're dropping new merch at shopdd.com. So if you want to grab a hat or a hoodie.
DD out.
Mario, Luigi.
I want to sincerely thank, number one, my family, my dad, my mom, my brother, my wife. She's been like my backbone from day one, believing in me and, you know, trusting in my dream. My parents, my brother, I mean, unreal. My guys that have stuck with me for so many years. NJ, Danny, I'm getting a little emotional here. It's kind of, but I missed a couple people, especially one very, very important person, because without that person, I seriously, this company would never be where it is today. Ruben, I love you, man. And thank you for teaching me everything I know. I wouldn't be without you, honestly. And thank you for teaching me every single day, you know, being another older brother to me. And my son, Vinny, you're the buddy. Thank you guys. And again, I'm getting emotional, so let's stop this. Thank you.